Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? Hope y'all having a good day. Hope y'all having a safe day. It's supposed to be storming. I know we're in, I don't know where y'all watching from, but I know we're in like a tornado warning to like 11 o'clock or something. So I pray everybody's being safe out there. They actually let the kids out of school today for bad weather, which I just think they just didn't want to do no work because they let them out and nothing really happened. But it is what it is. But I'm glad y'all are here with me today, and I think we got an awesome letter. Hey, Emily, how you doing? How you doing, Sister Rhonda? Glad y'all are here. I hope y'all can stay for the whole lesson, man. We got an awesome lesson. Of course, I believe all of them are awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's some really good points in the lesson that's going to come out tonight. Of course, we're continuing on our journey through 1 Corinthians, and this is my normal meeting that this is the normal lesson I would do with the lost sheep. So this is what up with you, Zoe? How you doing, brother? Hope everything's good for you, man. Been a while. Hope you're all right. But again, this is the course is the series. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me get my charge on my phone. Just about dead. But this is a series we started, how to be a proper Christian, and I'm just giving 7 points. We're going through Corinthians, and of course, Corinthians. I always kind of give this little introduction. It was a book. It was a letter. It was 2 letters that Paul wrote to these Corinthians. Now, of course, Corinth it was the church that Paul started, Corinth. He went and started the church, and then, once the church got started, he put some people in charge, and then he kind of left. And after he left, he started getting these reports about things that was going on in the church. And a lot of the reason why I want to go through this, because a lot of it is stuff that we deal with in the church now as Christians. And this letter really, and that's why I want to go through this book of 1 and 2 Corinthians, because it basically addresses every issue that we have as Christian. Every issue that comes up in the Christian life basically is covered in these 2 books. Because there's a lot of people don't really understand what it means to be a Christian. A lot of people don't really understand the mindset of being a Christian. A lot of people really don't understand what it means to be a Christian. A lot of people don't understand what's expected of a Christian and what's not expected of a Christian. And that's why I wanted to go through these lessons. And that's why the title of it overall is called How to Be a Proper Christian. In other words, what you expect in your Christian life, the things you should do and what you should not do. There's a lot of stuff that we try to do that we actually not responsible for doing. So that's what I've been doing over these last few weeks. And I apologize to y'all. I didn't realize how long, let me put this on the charge right quick. I didn't realize how long it's been since I had did a Thursday evening message. Because, like I said, this is normally what I do with my lost sheep. And you remember it was snowing one Thursday. It was snow and ice, so we didn't do it. And then some other stuff happened. So it's been like over a month since I did the Thursday one, but it's worth the wait. Definitely worth the wait. And I'm actually not going to even do my little 5-minute wait. I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it. And I want to do the review from the first chapter, chapter 8. And I'm just going to read through the points that we had. It was 11 points in chapter 8. It was a small chapter, but it was a very important that chapter, and we talked about the weaker brother principle in chapter 8. As soon as I can find this bad boy, so I'm gonna give me 1 second. So I just wanted to go over do a little small review over that, not to take up too much time, because I'm trying to cut down on my time on my videos, because as much as I love talking to y'all, I don't think some of y'all like listening to me. Now I'm just playing. There we go. So I'm gonna do a small review, just reading back through the points, not even putting out the Bible verses that supported these points, but just the points. We had 11 points in chapter 8. Point number 1 was don't get all high-minded because you know a few scriptures. And again, Paul was getting on these people. They knew some scriptures. They knew what they could and couldn't do, and they was kind of lording it over everybody else, kind of thing. So you know what I'm saying. So just because you know a few scriptures, don't get all high-minded. Number 2, fill your heart with love instead of pride. And that's what he's talking to. He's getting on them about their pride. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, having Bible knowledge is good, but having love is better. So instead of being all high-minded because you know if you can quote a few Bible scriptures, you should be loving people, because the love will do way more than your chastisement will because of your scripture knowledge. Number 3, know-it-alls know nothing at all. Paul kind of made the statement, like anybody that says that they know everything really don't know anything. So number 3 was know-it-alls know nothing at all. Number 4, to truly know God, you have to truly love God. To truly know God, you have to, because a lot of people know of God. I mean, I talk to a lot of people that know of God, but I can tell by their actions, by their fruit, they don't really know God, because you'll live your life completely different. You'll spend your time doing things completely different than you would do if you truly knew God. If you truly knew God, you would spend a lot more time with God than you do. So again, to truly know God, you have to truly love God. Number 5, know that Jehovah is the only true God. And Paul kind of made a statement where he was talking about, there's only one true God. And like I said, I'm not going to go back to the Bible verse, just a little review. But he made a statement, about the one true God, of course. Number 6, know that our lives and all that we have and all that we are is through Jesus Christ. And Paul made a statement like, everything that we have, everything that comes forth, all this comes from Jesus. We have to forget. I think a lot of times we forget that, and we take a lot of stuff for granted. And Paul was just kind of pointing out, like, everything we have, everything we do, every ability, every talent, it all comes from Jesus, and it was all created by Jesus, and it all comes through Jesus. So we should be thanking him and spending more time with him. Number 7, and this is a review if you just tuned in. This is just a review. Number 7. Work to keep your conscience clear. In other words, try to be blameless. And I've shared that concept with y'all a few times of blameless. Innocent is I didn't do it. Blameless, they can't even accuse you for it. And I use an example. Let's say somebody is getting robbed right now in California. I'm blameless in that crime because I'm here in Tennessee. So there's no way I can be here in Tennessee talking to y'all on Facebook and robbing somebody in California at the same time. So I'm blameless in that aspect. And that's what we should do. A lot of times we in situations where we're innocent. We didn't do the things that people are accusing us of, but we're not blameless. You know what I'm saying? Because we were there, like, let's say a woman is accusing her husband of cheating, messing with another girl. And he might be innocent of doing it, but yet he got messages in his phone because he's been texting her on the slide or DMing her or some stuff like that. So even though his texting and stuff was innocent, he wasn't really trying to do nothing sideways. But he's innocent, but he's not blameless because she can still interpret it as, hey, you trying to do something slick, or maybe you deleted the other messages. So it worked to keep your conscience clear and to live a blameless life. Number 8. Was remember God is not concerned with what's in your stomach, but what's in your heart. So toward the end, he started talking about this. It was some people that was kind of upset because there were some people, some Christian people basically that was eating food that was offered to idols. And Paul was like, man, if you're a Christian, you know that that's offered to fake gods anyway, so it's not really a big deal. He said, but at the same time, yeah, you can do it. God don't care about that. He cares more about what's in your heart than what's in your stomach. And that's kind of the statement he made. He said, no, it's not a big deal. He said, at the same time, it can possibly pull another brother down. So if you can stay away from it, stay away from it. Then we got into the weaker brother principle. Number 9. Always consider how your actions will affect someone else of a weaker faith. And again, that's what he was talking about. All of the rest of the chapter, we was getting into dove into the weaker brother principle. And Paul was saying, I do want to read this. He said, he was talking about the idols. He said, you can't win God's approval by what we eat. We don't miss out on anything if we don't eat it, and we don't gain anything if we do. He said, but you must be careful with this freedom of yours. Do not cause a brother or sister with a weaker conscience to stumble. So again, it was the weaker brother principle. Even though it's okay to do it, it's right to do it. If it's going to make somebody else stumble or, offend them in the word, then you shouldn't, just for their sake, kind of thing, even though it's right. And again, that's when you get to that point, that's a high level of Christian right there. Number 10, you will be held accountable for the actions of those that you influence. Again, he was talking about the weaker brother principle. He was talking about how he'll stay away. He said, you are sinning against Christ when you sin against other Christians by encouraging them to do something that they believe is wrong. And that's like, some people believe smoking weed is wrong. So if you try to get them to smoke weed, because you feel it's okay, God don't care about it, but you get them doing they believe is absolutely wrong. That's what he's talking about. That's the concept he's talking about right there. If they believe it's wrong, then it's wrong to them. Don't try to convince them to do it, kind of thing. And then number 11, the last one that we had from last week was live in a way that you won't be a stumbling block for others. And again, Paul, I do want to read these last ones because it was an important imperative to the lesson. He said, if what I eat is going to make another Christian sin, I will never eat meat again as long as I live, for I don't want to make another Christian stumble. So again, that's a different level of Christianity there. When you get to the point where even though something is right and okay to do, you still don't do it because of the concern for others. That's truly being a Christian brother there. And that's what Paul was saying. He said, I know me eating meat is fine. God don't worry about it. But if me eating meat is going to offend somebody else or take them out of the way of God, then I never eat meat again. And again, that's the weaker brother principle that he was talking about there. So again, that was just a quick review, to give people time to get in and get settled in here today. And that was a quick review of what we went over. And it was we had 11 points. So tonight, like I said, we're going to be in chapter 9, 1 Corinthians. If you got your Bibles and you want to read along. Of course, I always like to let everybody know I am a King James believer, but I read out the New Living Translation because my ministry is a lost sheep ministry, and it's for people that's maybe uneducated, been in and out the system, or just getting started on their relationship with God and don't really understand the Bible just yet. Now, I want to make sure that everything I'm saying, that everything that's been said in this Bible is understood, and that's why I read the New Living Translation. But when they have some instances where it don't translate it to where I believe is proper, so I do read the King James to make sure everything kind of translates evenly. And I do got a couple of points in here tonight that I'm going to read the King James version instead of the New Living Translation version. So just to let y'all know. But tonight, now the last 6 or 7, they've been kind of focused on a certain point that Paul was kind of driving home, like, for instance, chapter 8 was focused on the weaker brother principle. Well, tonight is just more of a general. It's 20 points. I'm gonna try not to take too long. I know 20, like, ooh, that's a lot. And 20 points, I won't try to elaborate on too long, but I do want to make sure I get them across because there's some very important concepts that he's gonna go over here tonight that we deal with as Christians. So that's why I hope y'all buckle in and stay in for this lesson because it's going to be a really good lesson. And like I said, it's not a specific topic tonight. It's several different topics that he's going to bring up that covers the Christian life. And I'm going to share that with y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and pray and I'll get started. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for watching over us today. Thank you so much for giving us the ability to be here tonight and getting this word, Lord. I thank you for giving us this word to guide our hearts and our mind and our steps so we may know the things that we need to know to be a proper Christian, Lord. I thank you for this ministry and the way you've let it grow. Thank you for all those that have given up their time. I know it's a Thursday night and they can be doing anything here, Lord, but they're here with me tonight so they can hear your word. And that's a blessing to me and encouragement to me. And more important, Lord, it honor and glorify you and shows that you're working in their lives. So I thank you for using me to do so. And I ask you to watch over me as I bring this lesson tonight. Let your spirit work on my heart. So give me the words to say so I can help others, build a seed in the heart of others and bring them closer to you. And I pray that your spirit work on their hearts as they watch this video so they may, a seed may be planted and they may want to take that step to be closer to you. Actually, just keep us all safe with this weather that's going on outside. I know you control the weather, Lord, so I'm not worried about it at all. I just pray you keep everybody safe and just let us have this moment here where we can spend some time with you, honor and glorify your name and coming closer to you in our relationship. We love you and thank you for all you've done and given. And I say this prayer in your wonderful son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so give me a little H2O. I hope y'all are safe, and I'm gonna let y'all know I've electricity has went off like twice, so I'm praying that I'll be able to make it through without it going off. Because if I do, I lose my Wi-Fi and the video will stop. So I hope that don't happen. If I do, I apologize, and I'll try to get it back up and get back to going as soon as possible. If that does happen. I'm sorry, I always like the suck on the peppermint before I get started and kind of keep my vocal cords a little loose. So if I get to talking too much, I don't go hoarse. All right. So again, if you got your Bibles out, we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, and he gives us some very interesting concepts. And it's crazy I'm doing this lesson tonight because I just had there's a couple of these concepts that come up tonight that I just had to talk to somebody. I preached to somebody about this past weekend when I was out soul winning. But I'm getting ahead of myself, and I'll tell y'all about that when I get there. So 1 Corinthians chapter 9, the Lord tells us this. This is Paul. Now, it's a situation, again, just kind of give you a preference, background on what's going on in this chapter. Again, he wrote this letter to the Corinthians, and basically these Corinthians was kind of talking crap about him. They was doubting him, his credibility and things of that nature, down his word, doubting he's really of God, and all kind of things that they was kind of doubting. So he kind of addressed that a little bit in this chapter here, chapter 9. And in my Bible, it's titled "Paul Gives Up His Rights," but he don't really give up his rights. But he do question, bring up the fact that they're questioning who he is. So the first one starts off in chapter 9, verse 1. It's the Lord tells us this. This is Paul talking. He said, "Now do I not have as much freedom as anyone else? Am I not an apostle? Haven't I seen Jesus our Lord with my own eyes? Isn't it because of my hard work that you are in the Lord?" So that's going to bring us to our very first point. Number 1 is, do you have the works to show your faith? I was saying earlier, a lot of people know, and it was a point from chapter 8, a lot of people know of God, but they don't really know God. See, your works will show that you really know God. Now, don't get it twisted. A lot of people try to let their work show that they try to work their way into heaven, and that's not that you don't want to get into that work salvation. You don't have to work and get into heaven, but your work shows that your faith. It shows that you really do believe in God. It shows that you really do have a close relation with God. Matter of fact, James addressed this. I'm just gonna go over this one verse. I got one little extra verse I got in here. But if you go over to the book of James, chapter 2, verses 14 through 19, James tells us this. He says, "Dear brothers and sisters, what's the use of saying that you have faith if you don't prove it by your actions? That kind of faith can't save anyone." So you see, he's saying your actions, the things you do, that's what shows you have faith. A lot of people try to say, "Oh, well, I'm a good person. I've given this. I've done this. I should get to heaven." No, your work should show your faith. So he says, suppose you see a brother or sister who needs food or clothing, and you say, "Well, goodbye and God bless you. Stay warm and eat well." But then you don't give that person any food or clothing. What good does that do? So you see, it isn't enough just to have faith. Faith that doesn't show itself by good deeds is no faith at all. It is dead and useless. Now, someone may argue some people have faith, others have good deeds. I say, I can't see your faith if you don't have good deeds, but I will show you my faith through my good deeds. Do you still think it's enough just to believe that there is one God? Well, even the demons believe this and they tremble in terror. So you see what he's saying there? He said, yes, he said, and I love that line. He say, I can't see your faith if you don't have good deeds, but I will show you my faith through my good deeds. So that's what Paul is kind of saying here. He said, look, is it because of my hard work that you are in the Lord? So in other words, the work that he's been doing, his work, the fact that these people were saved, the fact that this church existed should show them that he was in the Lord. You see what I'm saying? That he really did have faith in God. Because y'all remember, before Paul got into this, he was persecuting Christians. It's saying he was against God. He was fighting Jesus, basically. But then, the Lord, he had the whole, and I'm not going to redo that whole story, but I mean, he had the experience on Damascus, the road to Damascus, and, he came to the Lord. And now, and you remember even in the beginning, the apostles, they was kind of weary. They were like, I don't know. But then they saw how much work he was doing, how many people he was saving, how passionate he was about God's work. And then they were like, well, this must be true. There's no way this guy's faking this. You see what I'm saying? And see, a lot of people use their good works to fake their faith. But in reality, that's what I meant to say, fake their faith. But in reality, you truly have faith, you're going to have those good works. Because you can have some good works and truly not have faith in God. You put more faith in your good works to get you to heaven than you do in God. And that's what Paul's saying. Do your works show that you truly have faith? And that's what he says. He said, my work, my body of work, you are a part of my body of work. So if anybody, he gonna actually address it in the next line. But basically he's saying, if anybody else, other people that don't know me might be able to say that, but you should know definitely, because you are part of my hard work. You are part of the work that I've done in you, getting you started, getting you on the right track. It should show you of my faith. So number one, do you have the works to show your faith? Do you have the work to show your faith? And what I'm saying, like, do you go out sowing? Do you go out and tell other people about the Lord? Whenever you get the opportunity, do you go looking for the opportunity to tell people about the Lord? Do you have the works to show your faith? Because some people, like I said, some people say they have good deeds. Some people say they have work. He said, but I show you my faith by my good deeds. So do you have those good deeds? Do you have the works to show your faith? And that's what Paul was saying. He said, I got the work to show my faith. I don't understand why y'all are questioning me. Y'all should know where my faith is at by the work that y'all saw me do. The work that I did within y'all, you should be able to tell that I have faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. So then he said in the next line, he says, he addressed this next line. He said, even if others think I am not an apostle, I certainly am to you, for you are living proof that I am the Lord's apostle. So again, he said, like, if anybody else say, no, other people that don't know me might be able to say it, but you should know because you saw the work I did. You saw my work and you saw my faith by my work. But number two, here he said, you are living proof that I'm the Lord's apostle. So number two, again, this is from the concept of, being a better Christian. This is something you should ask yourself. If you was put on trial, if there, and honestly, this is really kind of a hypothetical question. But with the way things are going, this might actually happen for real. So, but if you are put on trial for being a Christian, would there be enough evidence to convict you? No, if you were put on trial, is there somebody, the people that can testify like, yes, I know this man is a Christian because he did this, that. If there was a trial, would there be enough witnesses to convict you of being a Christian? You know what I'm saying? You got to ask yourself that. And that's what Paul was saying. Hey, y'all are my proof. Y'all are living proof that I'm a Christian. Y'all are living proof that I'm not only talking this life, but I'm walking this life. Y'all are my proof. So ask yourself, would you have proof? I know I got proof. Matter of fact, this is evidence right here against me. They can just go back to my Facebook page and pull up and see that I've been preaching God's word for the last year. And of course, if you look at all my posts over the last few years, you can see since I've been on Facebook, they got plenty of evidence they can pull up. They got people they can go and knock on their doors and be like, hey, did this guy come by? There's plenty of evidence out there to support I'm a Christian. But you got to ask yourself, if there's enough evidence to convict you of being a Christian, or do you got just enough where you can get off, on reasonable doubt? You see what I'm saying? And again, if you really learn, and there's a point I brought up from part 8 that we went over from chapter 8. If you really know the Lord, you would really love the Lord, and you really love the Lord, you would truly serve the Lord. And there'll be things that you would do to show that you truly love the Lord, that you truly know the Lord, that you truly are a Christian. That don't mean, again, that you're going to get saved and you're going to be this super Christian, super new person overnight. But there should be some kind of change in you. There should be some kind of change in your heart. And there should be some things that you do differently than what you did when you got saved. It should be, if you truly got saved, if you truly came to know the Lord truly came into your heart, there should be some differences somewhere. If everything is the exact same hunky-dory, exact same before you got saved, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's between you and God. I'm not to say that you didn't get saved, but I would definitely it'll be questionable if there wasn't any kind of change in you at all. And you know what I'm saying? So that's what Paul was talking about here. He said, look, y'all are my evidence. If they want to convict me of being a Christian, which they eventually did, convict them of being a Christian, like, y'all are my evidence. The hard work, the work that I did while I was here with y'all, that brought y'all here, and then the fact that y'all are saved, the fact that y'all are doing the things y'all doing, you're evidence against me. So again, ask yourself, if there were a trial, if you were put on trial for being a Christian, would there be enough evidence to convict you? And like I said earlier, with the way things are going, that might be coming to fruition pretty soon in America. And I know I never thought I see the day where there can be a possibility, but it can be a possibility. I mean, they're already on the East Coast and the West Coast, California stuff there. They're already persecuting churches for meeting, charging them thousands of dollars in fines every time they meet. So it's only a matter of time. And then and of course, over in foreign countries, certain countries, if you get caught being a Christian or get caught with a Bible, reading the Bible, you die. This is it. You die. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the country with Muslim strongholds. So, I mean, and it's sweeping this way. The way our country seems to be going towards socialism, it won't be long before they start trying to dictate what can be said in the churches. And if you tell the truth, that you can be put in prison for. It happens in other countries, and it can happen here. I never thought it can happen here, but it gets to that point. But for this lesson, this is something I want to ask you. Again, this is between you and God. You know what I'm saying? That this is not me trying to call you out on anything, but you know the truth. You know what's in your heart. You know what you've been doing for God. You know what you haven't been doing to God. So for God. So again, ask yourself, if there was a trial being held and they was persecuting Christians, would there be enough evidence they can bring forth to show that you were a Christian? And I know, like I said, I got my evidence, so I'm good. But do you? You know what I'm saying? If not, get to working on it. That's a problem. That's a problem. If you're supposed to be a Christian, there should be something to prove that you're a Christian. Like James said, you should have some good works to show your faith. And if you know what I'm saying, you've gotten saved, but you don't have any works to show that you're saved, then, there's a problem there. So then in verse 3 he says, now this is my answer to those who question my authority as an apostle. So number 3, this kind of ties in a little bit with number 2. Number 3 is this: let your actions leave no question that you are of God. Let your actions leave no question that you are of God. So again, I kind of alluded to this a little bit when I was going through number 2, but once you truly become of God, again, truly have a close walk with God, truly doing the things that God wants you to do, there's going to be certain things that you will do, and there's going to be some things that you're not going to do. You know what I'm saying? It's just bottom line. And a lot of people try to blur that line, like, well, God's okay with it. It's certain things that you're not going to do. You're not going to run with the same crowds. You're not going to run with the world like you used to. You're not going to even enjoy it like you used to. I've tried to. I remember the last time I went out, I went out, a buddy of mine, it was his birthday, and I always like to try to go out with people on their birthday, even if they going somewhere that I normally don't like going, cause I never like really going to bars in the first place, but, you know, I still try to, you know, show some love and go out with them. And I remember when I went out with this buddy, this was like a couple of years ago actually, and last time I did it, and I went out like, man, you know what, I ain't been out in a while. All I do is preach all during time. Let me go out and just have some, try to relax and have some fun. And I remember I went out to the bar with these guys and they hung out, and man, I was just miserable. I was just like the whole time, like, man, I should stay at the house. Like I couldn't enjoy it because all I can see in this place was that I can see, because I've served God long enough and ministered long enough that I can tell when somebody's hurting. I can see somebody and tell when they're trapped by their sin. Like I don't get an actual visual representation, but not because I don't want y'all to think I'm crazy or super hyper spiritual or something, but I can see it just by their actions, by the things they do, the way they carry themselves. I can tell that they're burdened down with their sins. I can tell that they're not as happy as they're trying to put forth. You know what I'm saying? That's a gift that God's given me so I can do his work. You got to know people. And I know people enough to tell when they're not truly happy, and they go to these bars so they can drown their sorrows and all their problems away for a night, not even realizing that all it's doing is adding to their problems. Because when they wake up tomorrow and sober up, those problems still gonna be waiting on. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't get past, you know, watching these people, and I'm seeing how they behaving and how they acting, and just like I wanted to preach the whole time. You know what I'm saying? I just want to break out in a revival right there in the middle of the bar, you know. But I know it wasn't the time or the place. But I was miserable the whole time. I couldn't enjoy it like I used to. You see what I'm saying? Why? Because I'm doing things for God now. And when I'm doing things for God, I can't be in a place like that and enjoy myself in a place like that because it bothers my spirit. My spirit was unsettled, so I couldn't enjoy that place. So you got to understand that's what happens when you're truly serving God. You're not going to be able to live the way you used to live. You're not going to be able to do the things that you used to do. There's going to be some kind of change there. And you got to understand that, you know. So again, let your actions leave no question that you are of God. There are certain things that you will do. There's certain things you won't do. You know what I'm saying? Again, there's something else that I do every Saturday, y'all know, and it's not a bragging thing. It's something that I never imagined, and it's a big deal to me because I never imagined doing it. Every Saturday, I'm out knocking on doors, trying to tell people about the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Those are things that I do because I love God. These videos here, I don't always get a lot of views on this video. I never know what I'm getting. Sometimes I get 10, 12 views. Sometimes I get 200. I mean, I never know what I'm going to get. And more likely than not, I usually get somewhere between 25 and 50. And you can be like, easily be like, oh, man, what's the point of doing that if there's only a handful of people watching it? But there's been a lot of people that has told me that they watch it and it's helped them. And that's why I keep going, even if I only help one. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I do these videos, not for myself, but because I love the Lord and I love helping people build a relationship with the Lord. You see what I'm saying? So if you really love the Lord, there's going to be your actions is going to show it. Again, kind of like what we talking about with the works. It's going to show it. You know, you can tell a tree by its fruit. A bad tree can't produce good fruit, and a good tree can't produce bad fruit. You can tell. So if you really love the Lord, you're really having a close walk with the Lord, your actions are going to speak it, and people won't question it. I can't tell you how many times people that I don't even talk to on a regular basis, they just come up to me and ask me to pray for them. You know what I'm saying? Because they can see the spirit that God has blessed me with. They can see that, man, I truly love the Lord. And if they want anything, they need some prayer, they come to me. And there's people that I never would have expected it. They just come out of the blue because they know I walk with the Lord. My actions show that I truly love the Lord. And again, not a bragging type dude, that I don't just go around bragging. Like, people that know me know I preach, because if the opportunity to talk about God comes up, I'm on it. I jump on it immediately. You know what I'm saying? So everybody that work with me know that I preach. So what up, TJ? I'm glad you're here, man. Man, I will do that. I definitely pray for you and your moms, man. You know, I always keep y'all in my prayers, but I definitely put that in the prayer list tonight. So, but again, people ask me to pray, man, because they know I walk with the Lord. Again, it ain't just I'm a super Christian. I'm not perfect at all. Still make mistakes, still think things I shouldn't think, still say things I shouldn't say. But I walk with the Lord, and I love the Lord, and I do my best to serve Him to the best of my ability. And that's what your actions show. So that's what Paul told. He said, "This is my answer for those who question my authority as an apostle." In other words, I did enough Y'all know I've did enough work. I've done enough traveling. I've did enough preaching for y'all to know I'm of God. So I shouldn't have to answer this question. And the same should be for your lives. People shouldn't be able to, people should know you're a Christian without you having to say you're a Christian. If you got to tell people you're a Christian, then you're not walking like a true Christian. And that's why I'm doing these lessons. And again, I'm not judging nobody. This is just straight facts. If people got to guess if you're a Christian or not, I talked about my pastor telling a story. He had a buddy of his, knew each other for like 5-6 years. And, one day he had, and this is his story, not mine, said one day he had broke his arm or leg or something. He was in the hospital, cause he had an accident. And while he was in the hospital, he was reading his Bible. So his Bible was sitting on the table. And his buddy that he's been talk tight with for like the last 5-6 years came in like, man, what's that Bible doing there? He's always mine. I was reading this as I was here. He said, are you a Christian? He's like, yeah. And he asked his buddy, are you a Christian? He's like, yeah. So they had been together for 5 years and neither one of them knew if they was a Christian. That's not good. How can you spend that much time with somebody and not know they're of God unless they're not really walking with God? So that's what he's saying here. You live your life in a way, your actions should leave no question that you are of God. So if people have to guess that you're a Christian, then that means you need to work on your Christian walk. I'm not saying that you're not truly saved. I'm not saying that you're not a child of God, but I am saying that you need to put some more work into your walk so people because people should be able to see and know that you are of God. So then he says that this is my answer to those who question my authority as an apostle. He said, don't we have the right to live in your homes and share your meals? Don't we have the right to bring a Christian wife along with us as other disciples and the Lord's brothers and Peter do? Or is it only Barnabas and I who have to work to support them ourselves? So this is one of those situations. This is an important one. This is one of the big, like all the points are good, but this is a big one right here. This is a big one right here. Number 4 is this. Don't hold another Christian brother or sister to a higher standard than you hold yourself. That is important. There's a very important, man, y'all need to write that one down. Don't hold another Christian brother or sister to a higher standard than you hold yourself. And when I'm talking about, I'm not just talking about just regular member of the church. This is something I come across all the time. And this is the one I was telling you about earlier where I was talking to a young lady about this. People look at me because I'm a minister, and if I do something out of the way or they don't feel a minister should be doing, they go, how can he supposed to be a preacher? How can he say stuff like that? Or how can he do stuff like that? How can he look at that? And they holding me to this side the same. They Christians too. And you got to understand, all of us are the same. You know what I'm saying? I'm a preacher because, I've given my life to God. But honestly, everybody, if you're a Christian, if you have a day where you accepted Jesus Christ, your Savior, you're supposed to be a preacher too. And that's what people don't understand. Everybody's supposed to be preachers. We all supposed to be preachers. God didn't save you so you can sit on your blessed assurance and do nothing. He saved you because you had some work to do. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing and you're not. You see what I'm saying? So don't hold me to a higher standard because I'm the preacher man. And that's what people got to understand. That's what I was talking to that young lady about today, because she was talking about this preacher. Like, well, I like him, but he has a tendency to flirt the women and all that. And he shouldn't be doing it as a preacher. I like, well, don't you flirt with guys and stuff? Like, yeah. I said, so why isn't it okay for you to do it and it's not okay for him to do it? You see what I'm saying? What up, Dustin, man? Everything's good, brother. I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you checking in with us. I appreciate everything good. I hope everything good on you guys' end. But again, don't hold me to a higher standard. I'm a human just like you are. And to be honest, even if I am a preacher and I go out there and I mess up and I make a mistake, at least I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I'm going to do some stuff I'm not supposed to be doing, but at least I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing, as opposed to you're not only doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing, but you're not doing the stuff you're supposed to be doing. You see what I'm saying? Y'all understand what I'm trying to say here? So don't hold another brother or sister Christian to a higher standard than you hold yourself. You know what I'm saying? If the preacher should be drinking, if you're a Christian and you feel the preacher should be drinking, then guess what? You shouldn't be drinking neither. You see what I'm saying? It ain't okay. Oh, well, I'm just in the church. I can drink. He's a preacher. He can't. No, you got to be held to the same standard. Because again, God called we all supposed to be preachers. If you have a day where you accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, you should be a preacher as well. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So again, yes, everybody, we all sin. So we all do stuff that we're not supposed to be doing, but at least I am doing the one thing I know I'm supposed to be doing, which is telling other people about the Lord and try to guide them to Him. So understand it, because that's a very important. So y'all, like I said, y'all write that one down. Write that one down. That's a very important concept there. Don't hold people to a higher standard. You know what I'm saying? Don't be, oh, this brother such and such, he a deacon in church, and I can't believe he drink, and you sit there saying that with a beer in your hand. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are on the same level in the eyes of God. The ground is even at Calvary. I've told y'all this before. I'm not getting to heaven no different way than y'all getting to heaven. I don't have no special way that I'm going to get to heaven. I'm getting to heaven by believing and putting my faith and trust in Jesus Christ and pleading the blood on my life, just like you are. So we all even. I'm doing the one thing that I know I'm supposed to be doing, and you're not. So don't hold people to a higher standard. You know, and a lot of people get out of the church because of that. Oh, well, he's supposed to be a preacher and he's out doing this, and he's supposed to be a preacher and he's out doing that. And it'll be the very same things that they're doing. You see what I'm saying? Being a hypocrite. They mad because the preacher doing it, and you know what I'm saying? Well, he should be held to a higher standard. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not making an excuse for preachers out there messing up, because there be some preachers out there messing up, and he should hold himself. And once he take on that mantle, you should hold yourself to a higher standard, and you should try to stay away from certain things. And there's certain things you should be doing, and certain things you should not be doing. But don't get it twisted. You got to understand that everybody is called to do the same thing. Everybody, once you've been saved, you're called to serve the Lord. So don't get it twisted because you see the preacher, you know what I'm saying, the one that's supposed to be actually behind the pulpit out messing up, and you're like, oh, I can't believe he did that, when he's doing the same thing that you be doing. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm just a regular person in church. And see, that's the problem right there. Because again, at least he's doing what he's supposed to be doing by taking up the mantle and telling people about God, whereas you're not. So that's a very important concept, and that's why I expound on that a little more, because I see that so much. And like I said, I was talking to this young lady this weekend about it, and I had this lesson prepared, weeks ago, but I just happened to be talking to this young lady about that. We got into a deep conversation about that, and she's like, "Man, I never thought about that." Like, yeah, I said, you can't hold nobody to a different. If you're a Christian, you're a Christian, everybody's on the same level. Once they accept Jesus Christ as a Savior, on the same level. We all supposed to be preachers, but everybody don't do it. Everybody don't take that extra step and take on their responsibility. So again, he might be messing up, but at least he is doing the stuff that he's supposed to be doing. And the Lord is going to check him for the stuff that he's doing he's not supposed to be doing. But at least he's doing, and that's what God wants. We're as humans, we always focus on the bad. God focuses on the good. All right, yeah, he out there, he did that. He liked to flirt with women and all that, but he go out soul winning. You know what I'm saying? He's bringing people to the church. He's getting people saved. So God will give him a little leeway, so to speak, but he's still going to have to answer for it, because every man has to answer for everything that's done in his body. You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm not making excuses for it. And again, yes, if you call yourself a minister or a preacher, yes, you should hold yourself to a high standard, just so you can honor and glorify God and not bring shame upon his face. But from the concept of one Christian brother to another, you shouldn't hold people more accountable than you hold yourself. If you can do it, if it's good for you, you shouldn't be upset that they're doing it just because they say just because they're a preacher. So I want y'all to understand that's a very important concept, because I come across that a lot, especially with me being a minister. I come across that a lot. You know what I'm saying? So then verse 7, so I'm move on, because that's just an important, because I've dealt with that a lot, and I want to make sure y'all understand that. So no, again, don't hold another Christian brother or sister to a higher standard than you hold yourself. If you're both Christians, then you're both held to the same standard in the eyes of God. Now, in the eyes of man, you're like, oh, he the preacher, he should be. No, in the eyes of God, you both held to the same standard, and you both have the same responsibility. Just one is doing what they're supposed to do, and the other is not. So verse 7, he said, now what soldier has to pay his own expenses? And have you ever heard of a farmer who harvests his crop and doesn't have the right to eat some of it? What shepherd takes care of a flock of sheep and isn't allowed to drink some of the milk? And this isn't merely human opinion. Doesn't God's law say the same thing? For the law of Moses says, do not keep an ox from eating as it treads out the grain. Do you suppose God was thinking only about oxen when he said this? Wasn't he also speaking to us? Of course he was. Just as farm workers who plow fields and thresh the grain expect a share of the harvest, Christian workers should be paid by those they serve. So number 5 is this, and I'm not getting into one of those, this ain't a money grabbing sermon, but it's a truth here. Number 5 is this: take care of those who are working to take care of you. You got to understand, when I do this, this is not for me. You know what I'm saying? I already have my relationship with the Lord. I already walk with the Lord. You know what I'm saying? When I do this, this is not for me. I do this for y'all. Anybody that truly serves the Lord, go out soul winning, preaching all that, that's for the Lord. No, that's for y'all. That's for your benefit. I have my close walk with the Lord. I pray every day. You know what I'm saying? I pray 3-4 times a day, every day. You know, I read my Bible every day. I walk with the Lord every day. I can't start my day without him. You see what I'm saying? So what I do is for you. So you should be taken care of when you see these preachers in these churches. Cause you see a lot of people, well, I ain't gonna tithe. I can't believe you tithe. Because me, I tithe. I give my 10% to the Lord. And it's something I never thought I'd do. When I was in church, I just throw $20 in there, whatever loose change I got in my pocket. But now I make sure I give my 10%. You know what I'm saying? It's a big cut of my pay, man. It's hard, especially with the amount of kids I got, and you know what I'm saying, and the responsibilities. I would love to keep that little 10% in my pocket, but you know what? The God always provides, and I make sure I get my 10% because I know that 10% is going toward taking care of the church. You see what I'm saying? Because the church shouldn't be a business. There's all these mega churches out here. They got all kind of coffee shops and all this craziness in them, and they more like businesses than churches. And that's why you don't really get that's why we don't really get the good experience, the true word in there, because they're more concerned with bringing in money and things like that. But when you got a little small church like we got, man, it's vital that you do your part to take care of the church and take care of the preacher, because he has no sort. If you're going to be a full-time minister or preacher, and that's why people ask me like, are you going to get into it? I know I can't get into it right now because God ain't blessed me with the finance to get into it, because there's not a lot of money in it. There's not a lot of money in preaching. Look at what Jesus had. Jesus had nothing when he died. He had one pair of clothes, had to borrow another dude's tomb. He never had his own house. He was always sleeping on other folks' couches. You know what I'm saying? It's not a lot of money in doing God's work. You know what I'm saying? Now it's worth it. The reward is worth it, and we're gonna talk about that down here in a little bit. But it's not a lot of money. Not a lot of materialistic things come with it, doing that work. You see what I'm saying? So it's important that you do your part. If you're going to church somewhere, and especially if you truly getting fed spiritually and you're growing, you should be paying your tithe. You should be taking care of the people that's taking care of you, because that's why they doing it. They doing it for your benefit. Especially if they took on the amount of being a minister or something like that, then they already have their relationship with God. That's why they want to take their relationship farther and want other people to have that same relationship. And that's why they started becoming a preacher or a minister or something like that. So you gotta understand, they have their relationship. So everything they doing to bring you in. They doing it for you. So you should be taking care of those people. You know what I'm saying? So if you're in a church somewhere and you being fed spiritually, you need to be paying your tithes to that church and take care of them so they can have what they need to keep going. Like I said, it ain't a lot of money in it, and that's why God haven't given me my own church yet, because I got too many bills and stuff to pay, and my church has been folded too quick because I got to go back to work or something. So you know what I'm saying? So it's vital that you do your part to take care of the people that's taking care of you, and that's what Paul's saying. You know what I'm saying? He said, I have the right. I'm doing God's work. You know what I'm saying? Y'all should be taking care of me. But he's going to say something. Again, this is not a money grubbing. He's going to tell them this is not a money grubbing thing. I'm just saying some facts. So the next verse he says, we have, verse 11, he said, we have planted good spiritual seed among you. Is it too much to ask in return for mere food and clothing? And I want to read the King James version. That's one I want to read the King James version on, because I like the way it worded a little bit better. And the King James version says, if we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we reap your carnal things? So he's talking about worldly things. He said, look, I've come to you and given you spiritual things. Shouldn't we be able to receive your worldly things? So number 6 is this. The way he put that, he posed this question. What kind of seed are you planting? Spiritual or carnal? When you deal with people, when you talk to people, you know what I'm saying? With the way you live your life, your relationship, what kind of seed are you planting? Are you planting seeds, spiritual seeds, talking to people about God, trying to help them have a close relationship with God, praying for them, praying with them? You know, I think goodness for Heidi, man, that's good to hear about Esteban. You know, I pray with that guy and talk to him quite some time, so I'm glad he's doing good. TJ, same thing. I spent a lot of time talking to TJ and his family, his whole family. Every time I go over to their house, we just have a good spiritual meeting. So, I'm glad you guys are here. But that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. And anytime I was with you guys, what was I talking about? We were talking about God. I was putting some spiritual seed in there. You know what I'm saying? Led TJ to the Lord, led his brother to the Lord. You know, so I've had several Bible studies with them guys. You see what I'm saying? Because I was planting spiritual seed. So look at the kind of your relationship. When you're around, and I've told y'all before, if you come and talk to me, especially if you're somebody I've never talked to before, but if you come talk to me, and I can go about 5-10 minutes talking about worldly stuff. You know what I'm saying? Maybe football or the weather or something like that. But eventually that conversation is going to come, God is going to come up in that conversation. And I've rarely got into a conversation with somebody and not talked about God, because I'm always trying to plant that seed. I'm always trying to plant that seed. The Bible say you should go around like with a leaky seed basket. In other words, everywhere you go, you should be planting seeds. Like y'all know me, I keep gospel tracks in my pocket. Everywhere I go, I leave a gospel track. When I go into the bathroom somewhere, I just sit one on the little stall right there. Somebody can maybe read it while they taking a leak. You know, you never know. They might get saved from it. I sit one in the toilet stall. They might take it, they might read it while they way on the toilet. You never know. Might get saved. I always get one to the cashier. You know what I'm saying? I get one if I go to the restaurant. I get one to the waitress. Everywhere I go, I'm trying to plant some seed. And that's what you should do. If you really, again, you're really walking with God, you really want that close relationship, you should be planting seeds so everybody else that you come in contact with can have that same kind of relationship. So again, this is one you ask yourself. This is not me trying to call you out. Just think about it. Look at the thing you do, the things you're talking about. How does your conversation usually go? Is it about worldly things or is it about spiritual things? You know what I'm saying? Are you planting worldly things in the lives of others? Or are you planting spiritual things in the lives of others? You know what I'm saying? If you're not playing spiritual thing, there's something. That's again another area you need to work on. Work on that area so you can beef up your relationship with the Lord. So number 6, what kind of seed are you planting, spiritual or carnal? And again, there's what Paul saying. Look, I can't y'all planting spiritual seed. I didn't come to y'all no worldly stuff. We ain't come talk about football or Xbox or TikToks and none of that. When I was there, I was preaching the word of God. I was bringing y'all closer to God. So shouldn't y'all take care of me for what I did for you? Because I gave you something that's going to last for eternity. You know what I'm saying? I'm just asking you for something that's going to last for a couple of hours. You know what I'm saying? A day or two at the most. And I gave you something that's going to last forever. You see what I'm saying? And if you look at it, that's not even apples to apples. That is no comparison. I'm giving you something that's lasts forever. You can't give me something that's going to last for a few hours. They'll feed my belly. Give me a warm plus the steak kind of thing. And that's what he's saying there. So, but again, when you talking to people, your relationships, your conversations, what kind of conversation are you having? Are you having worldly conversation all the time and you planning worldly things? Or are you having a spiritual conversation and you planning spiritual things? And again, if you don't find yourself always planning spiritual things, then that's another area to prove. Again, this whole lesson is called How to Be a Proper Christian. I'm just giving you another little tool that you can use to improve your relationship with the Lord and become that proper Christian that you want to be. So then the next line says, now if you support others who preach to you, shouldn't we have an even greater right to be supported? So again, it goes back to number 5, where he's saying you take care of those who working to take care of you. And Paul put in a lot of work with those Corinthians. And that's why he's saying, you praying everybody else that comes and all these other preachers that come here, shouldn't you be praying paying for us? And now again, he's not saying, hey, I want some money, but he's just kind of hitting them with some truths. So then he says, the next verse, he says, yet we have never used this right. So here you go. He's telling, I don't even want this right. He said, yet we have never used this right. We would rather put up with anything than put an obstacle in the way of the good news about Christ. So number 7 is this. Being a burden, this is something you should know as a Christian. Again, as a Christian, being a burden can be a hindrance to their growth. Being a burden to a believer can be a hindrance to their growth. In other words, always getting on them about something. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you try to correct them about something, that's one thing. But just always getting on them about something, or always tell them they got to do this, they got to do that. That can hinder their growth. And a lot of times, they can actually push them away from God instead of pulling them closer to God. So you got to be careful with that. Try not to be a hindrance. And that's what Paul said. He said, man, look, I know I'm talking about this money, you know what I'm saying, this money situation there, but I'd rather be broke than have you pay me, because I don't want that to be a hindrance. Because I know people that don't go to church because they feel like, well, I don't have the money to put in the collection plate. And I'm like, man, it shouldn't be like that. But there are churches out there that basically make you feel like you need to pay to be here, kind of thing. Like you ain't putting up why ain't you tithing? There's churches where they will actually put out a tithe list. You know what I'm saying? Show the people that's actually paying their tithes and who's not, kind of thing. Why would you do something like that? That puts a lot of pressure. And the people get to the point where they don't even want to go to the church. And that's what Paul said. He said, I don't want to do anything that's going to make you not want to hear the word of God. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be an obstacle. I put up with anything to keep from making sure that you have a clear and a clear way and clear path to knowing of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So don't worry about paying me. I'm staying. You should be paying me because I'm doing God's work. I'm taking care of you, but don't even worry about it because I don't want to be an obstacle. So same thing should be true in our lives as Christians, as ministers. Try not to be an obstacle that's going to keep people from having a close relationship with the Lord. Try not to be a burden to them. Try to help them get there. You know what I'm saying? If you in a church and they're pressuring you to bring money and to pay your tithe and all that, then you in the wrong church. That's just bottom line. Like I said, that, I heard that church that had a list. They put out a tithe list, and it shows all the people and that pay tithes and all the people that don't. You know what I'm saying? Of course, all people gonna do is look and judge each other, and that's being a burden. And I'm pretty sure that church loses a lot of people because they feel they can't afford to go to that church. I've actually had people that tell me that. And I'm not just saying this just to be saying it. Like, I've actually had people tell me when I ask them to go to church, well, I can't afford to put money in there. I'm like, what they got to do with anything? You don't have to put money in there. Like, yeah, if you got it, yeah, that's cool, but you don't have to. But it's some churches make you feel like that, like you have to come in and you have to pay, basically pay admission to be there, kind of thing. And that's being a hindrance. And Paul said, you should never do that. So number 7, being a burden to a believer, a fellow believer, can be a hindrance to their growth. It'll actually take people out of church instead of bringing them into the church. So then in verse 13 he said, now don't you know that those who work in the temple get their meals from the food brought to the temple as offerings, and those who serve at the altar get a share of the sacrificial offerings? In that same way, the Lord gave orders that those who preach the good news should be supported by those who benefit from it. So again, he's just saying, like, look, yes, you should be taken care of, but he gonna, cause I know, like, well, man, it sounds like Paul wanted some money, but watch what he say. He said, yet I have never used any of these rights, and I'm not writing this to suggest that I would like to start now. So he's getting to the good part. He's just telling them the truth of the matter is, you should be taking care of me. Y'all should be paying me. Y'all should be paying my housing. Y'all should be feeding me. He said, that's the truth of the matter, even according to the word. He said, but yet I have never used any of these rights, and I'm not writing this to suggest that I would like to start now. He said, in fact, I would rather die than lose my distinction of preaching without charge. So number 8 is this. Make sure you are working to benefit the gospel and not for the gospel to benefit you. That's an important one. That's an important, especially if you're a minister, if you're a leader of a church, have your own church or whatever. Make sure you're doing that to benefit the gospel. You're doing that to benefit the gospel so you can get your word out to people, so you can bring people to the Lord, so you can build God's kingdom, not so you can build your bank account. And again, that's what you see. So you see a lot of that go on. You think about these big preachers, and I'm trying to call people out, but I mean, you think about the Joel Osteens and the Creflo Dollars and all these guys that got these huge mega churches. And, saying this one preacher, I don't remember his name, but I remember I was seeing an article where he was trying to get his congregation to buy him a private jet. You see what I'm saying? He wasn't doing God's work so he can benefit God's work. He was doing God's work so he can benefit himself. You know what I'm saying? These guys, these pastors got these huge churches, and they live in these huge mansions and driving all these fancy cars, and they got these expensive accounts and stuff. See, they're letting the gospel benefit them. They're not trying to benefit the gospel. And that's what Paul was saying. He said, I'd rather die than to lose my distinction of preaching without charge. You know why? Because Paul wanted the gospel to spread. That was his main concern. Like, when I pray for this ministry, that's my main concern, Lord. I don't care how many people I got. I don't care how many people watch the videos. I just want you to use it. I just want your gospel to spread. I want you to use it. I want it to be instrumental in bringing the world back to you. That's my goal for this ministry. That's my goal for the work that I do. I want to be instrumental. When I look back on my life, or when I get before you, you get to show me how the work that I did brought this world back to you, brought certain people to you. That's why I do it. Because I want to benefit the gospel. And again, that's where your heart would be at if you're trying to be a proper Christian. You shouldn't be trying to, most people get into serving God and doing God, or just believing, call themselves, quote unquote, believing in God so they can get what they can out of God instead of trying to let God get what he can out of them. And that's why a lot of times you see people backslide, or they go to church for a little while and they get out because I'm sorry. Because they got in the church thinking they was going to get all these rewards and all these blessings, and things didn't happen like they want to. They didn't get what they thought. They didn't get God and open up the heavens and rain down money and jewelry and cars on them. And they're like, well, no, what's the point of serving God, kind of thing. You see what I'm saying? Because they wanted the God to benefit them, and they didn't want to benefit the gospel. So make sure, if you're preaching the gospel, if you're leading a church, you're a minister, you have an influence over people in the word of God, make sure you're doing that truly for the kingdom, that build God's God's kingdom and not the pay, get yourself paid. You know what I'm saying? If I was doing these videos to get myself paid, I would have stopped a long time ago because I don't get a lot of views, so I ain't going to get no ads or none on my page, you know what I'm saying? But I do this because I want to benefit the Lord. I want God's gospel to get out, and I pray that it's helping people as they watching these lessons, as they going through these lessons, as I'm doing this work. I pray that it's really benefiting y'all because that's what I want to do. I want to benefit y'all, to benefit the gospel, to benefit the kingdom of God, and not myself. And that's what you got to understand. So then the next verse, he said, look, he said, in fact, I'd rather die than lose my distinction of preaching without charge. He said, for preaching the good news is not something I can boast about. I am compelled by God to do it. How terrible for me if I don't do it. So number 9 is this. Be sure you are preaching for the God's glory and not your own. So not only should you be preaching the benefit, the gospel, you should be preaching for God's glory and again, not your own. Again, same situation. You know, I do this for God's glory. I love when I talk to people and that I wouldn't even expect it. It's like, man, I've been watching videos and I'm changed by it. And I've done this and the Lord spoke to my heart and now I'm doing this and I'm doing so much better. That's what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Because they recognize for God, not for myself, not so I can become famous, not so I can have me a big mega church and have private planes and all that stuff. I do it for God's glory. And I ask God, and I struggle with that because I do sometimes get disappointed. Like, man, I only had 2-3 people watching. So I do get disappointed. But I got to realize it's not about me. It's for the glory of God. If those 2-3 people watching are watching and getting help from it, then I've won. I've done my job. I've done what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that your true intentions is to bring glory to God and not to yourself. And a lot of people don't have that. They have that problem. Again, that's how you get into these big mega churches and all those things, because they're doing it more for themselves than they are for God. They more concerned. That's why they water down their sermons. That's why they don't preach the truth, the full truth, because they don't want to offend anybody and they want their numbers to stay up. You know what I'm saying? I would love for my numbers to be big, but I'm not going to not say the truth like God gave it to me just to get those numbers. I'm going to tell you exactly how the Holy Spirit gave it to me and exactly from the Word. I'm not going to change the Word up. I'm going to tell you exactly what the Word say. I'm going to tell you exactly how the Holy Spirit gave it to me. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of people won't do that because they want to keep those numbers up because it's more about their glory than God's glory. And that's what he said. He said, man, I compare. And I feel Paul on that. Because I'm telling y'all, sometimes I be like, man, I don't want to preach. I just, I be trying to have a conversation. I'm like, man, I just want to have just a normal conversation. And, not even talk, not even dissing God, just like not talk about God for a minute, just be a normal dude. And then somebody say something like, oh, well, God, and it just comes out. I'm compelled. I can't help it. You know what I'm saying? Because God has done so much for me. He's been so good for me that I just want everybody else to experience what I've experienced. I want everybody's relationship. I want everybody. My ultimate goal is for everybody's relationship with God to be as mine, but actually better than mine, because mine is not perfect. You know what I'm saying? But I do feel like I have a good relationship with God. And I want everybody to have a relationship. I want everybody to feel that grace on their life. I want everybody to feel those blessings that come from having that close walk with God. You understand? And that's why I do what I do. And that's what he's saying. I'm compelled to do it. Even if I try not to do it, it just comes out. Even if I'm telling you, I can say in my mind, I'm not going to say nothing about God. I'm just going to go here and I'm going to do, whatever I'm doing. And I'm going to bring God up. And then somebody say something and bam, it just pops right out. So I feel Paul on this. This is why Paul one of my favorite guys, because me and him have a lot in common when it comes to the things of God. So again, number 9, be sure you are preaching for God's glory and not your own. Verse 17 says, now, if I were doing this of my own free will, then I would deserve payment. And there's things like, if I was, this is something I came up with and my own free will, I would. But, what I'm saying? He said, but God has chosen me and given me this sacred trust, and I have no choice. So in other words, what he's saying is this. Number 10 is this. Be sure you are doing the things the Lord has called you to do. In other words, living by God's will. You see what I'm saying? Like me, for the longest, I didn't know what God wanted me to do. I knew I had this personality that drew people in. I knew I had this authenticity about me that drew people in. And I knew that, I love the word of the Lord, but I never imagined that one day I'd be a minister. I never imagined that I'd be preaching on Facebook. I never imagined that I'd be going out knocking on doors on Saturday. I never imagined any of those things. You see what I'm saying? So, but once God came to me and called me and showed me what I'm supposed to be doing, I started doing it. And that's what Paul said. There's no choice. I know that was Paul is basically saying, I know this is God's will for my life. So there's no way I can't do it. because I know this is what God made me to do. This is what he built me to do. And again, I feel the same way. Like, that's why I can't, like, I've heard of people that got out of the church, fell out of the church or whatever, stop preaching. I don't see how it can be done. Like, even, I don't even see how you can honestly retire from doing God's work. You know what I'm saying? I'll probably be on my deathbed. I can be 90 years old on my deathbed and nurses coming in taking care of me. I'm trying to preach to them. I can't see how, you know what I'm saying? Because I just feel so compelled about doing it because God, like I said, God has done so much for me. And I just want everybody to have that close relationship with God that I have. So I don't understand how, you know what I'm saying, that people can give up on doing God's will for their life. And that's what Paul's saying. Like, man, look, I know this is what I was built to do. I know this is what I was made to do. So there's no way I can't not do it. You know what I'm saying? So when you know that God has called you to do something, when you know that God has brought you into the fold to do something, make sure you're doing that thing. Because I'm telling you, the safest place to be is in the will of God. And that's the only way you're going to truly be successful with your life. Now, people might look at my life, you know what I'm saying? I don't have a lot of money. I told you I got 2 cars that's on their last legs, you know, some houses need all kind of repairs. You know, I don't have a lot of money, but I have a lot of people that I've been able to help with their relationship with God. So if from a worldly perspective, my life might not be successful, but from a spiritual perspective, it's definitely successful because I've led over 400 people to the Lord since I've been serving Him. You see what I'm saying? So again, because this is what I know God has made me to do. So when you know God has called you to do something, those are things you should be doing because that's the only way you're going to be successful. And that's what Paul's saying here. He said, I'm not doing this because I just came up. Because people tell me all the time, like, oh, man, we're so proud of you and this and that and that. And I'm like, man, look, I'm not doing it. It's not like I got some harebrained scheme like, ooh, let me try this God thing. No, God called me to do this. And he showed me that he made me to do this. And that's why I'm doing this. And that's what Paul said. Like if I just came up with it out of my own free will, like, hey, man, let me go try this preaching thing. And I should be getting paid. But no, he like, I'm compelled to do it because I know this is what God made me to do. What's up, I'm glad you're here, man. I hope you're safe. I don't know if you're back home yet or not. Or you're still in down here. I can't remember when you said you're going to head out, but I'm glad you're here, brother. I appreciate you being here tonight. I appreciate you being here tonight. That's a blessing. So again, but I'm again, like I just told you, I'm doing what God want me to do, man. I'm doing what I know God has made me to do, and I'm just grateful that it's helping you people out there. I'm grateful that stuff like that helps me. You know what I'm saying? That encourages me to keep going because you're getting helped by it. And that's why I do it. Not for my glory, but for God's glory, and so I can build God's kingdom. And that's what Paul's saying. He knows that God made him to spread the word, and that's why he has no choice of doing it. So that's why he don't worry about getting paid for it. You know, like if I came up with a bright idea myself, then yeah, I should be getting paid. But if I didn't, God called me to do this, so I really have no choice because I know the only way I'm be successful is by living God's will for my life. And y'all should know the same. Be sure you are doing the things you know God has called you to do. So then in verse 18, he says, what then is my pay? And I love this right here. This is a true Christian way of thinking right here. He said, what then is my pay? He said, it is the satisfaction I get from preaching the good news without expense to anyone, never demanding my rights as a preacher. So number 11 is this: let the joy of serving the Lord be your reward. That's the only thing you should be looking for. You know what I'm saying? Again, we get so many people, they get in church, they get saved, they get involved with God, and they expecting all these blessings. And you got to understand, blessings, people, we interpret blessings as being money. We always put a monetary value on blessed. Oh, he blessed because he got a big bank account. Oh, he's blessed because he got a nice car. Oh, he blessed because he got a house. No, that's not blessing. True blessing from God is peace, man. It's God's grace in your life. You know what I'm saying? It's having comfort. You know what I'm saying? That's true blessings there. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing more, greater blessing than having peace, man. And having a peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? Having peace in your home, having somebody that love you and care for you. Those are true blessings. It's not always money. It's not always house, car. Now, yeah, it's nice. I'm not saying it ain't nice to have those things, but don't get that twisted over blessings. And that's what Paul's saying here. He said, my true blessing, my true joy is just, man, knowing that I get to spread the word with y'all. I get the opportunity to share God's gospel with y'all. That's my true joy. So number 11, let the joy of serving the Lord be your reward. And that's my reward too. Like I said, I love that, man. I love my brother Heath here. I didn't even realize he was watching this much. much as he was. You know what I'm saying? Because I have no way of telling who watched the videos and who don't. And when he told me that he was watching with his platoon, but I was like, wow, that's a blessing. Those are true blessings there. And not only just watching to support me, but he's watching and getting helped by it. That's a blessing. Knowing that, man, I had a piece, I played a part in him having a close relationship with God. I love that more than anything, man. Like I said, back in the day, I used to love smoking and drinking and carousing with women and all that. But now there's nothing I love more than having a good conversation with somebody about God. Like I said, Saturday I was out and I knocked on these set of apartments, and it went a little quicker than I thought. So we still had like 20, 30 minutes that I had planned on being out soul winning. So I went to these other group of apartments, and I just saw these group of people hanging out. They was drinking and stuff, you know. And I was like, well, they out, and let me go talk to them. And I went over there, man. I ended up having an hour-long conversation with those people. And it was so many misconceptions they had about God, what it meant to be, you know, a Christian and things like that. And, man, the girl at the end, she hugged me. She's like, man, thank you. He said, these are questions and things I've never understood my whole life. He said, thank you so much for coming by. And honestly, the only reason why we pulled up because it had got dark and it was starting to get cold. So, you know what I'm saying? Everybody was kind of like, man, we got to get in the house kind of thing. But, I mean, just had an hour, and I loved it, man. That made my day. I didn't get to see anybody saved that day, but it made my day that I was able to have an hour-long conversation and help people have a different outlook, a perspective on the things of God. That's what I love. That's my joy. And that's what Paul was saying. That's my joy, to get to go and spread God's word and help people get help. That's the true joy. So again, you try to be a proper Christian, that's what you should be looking for. That joy of serving the Lord, not what God is going to give you because you're doing the work for him. Because that's what you're supposed to be doing anyway. Paul talks about that's your reasonable service. You know, for all that God has done for us, the way he blesses us every day, just going out telling other people about it. And that's the reasonable thing to do. That's nothing special. You know what I'm saying? But that's where you get your joy from. And that's what Paul's saying. And just serving the Lord, being able to preach to y'all without charge, that's my true joy. That's my reward. And of course, when you get to the end and get to heaven, you're going to have rewards up there as well. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what I'm looking for. The rewards I get from here, the encouragement I get from here that keeps me going, is the joy of just serving the Lord and spreading his word and knowing that people are being helped by it. That's my joy. And so again, that's why I love Paul, because the same thing. He said, "This is my satisfaction." He said, "The satisfaction I get from preaching the good news without expense to anyone, never demanding my rights as a preacher." And then the next verse he said, "Now this means." And this is why, and this is the good thing. And that's why, because I once had a guy that was watching on here that was telling me, like, why don't I get a cash app so people can tithe and all that. And you know what I'm saying, once money get involved, it feels like, and that's why again these big mega churches seem to go astray, because money get involved. They do what they can to keep the money coming in, and I think it ruins it. And that's why, you know what I'm saying, that's why I said, that's why I don't like get into that. But this right here in verse 19, Paul sums it up. He said, "This means I'm not bound to obey people just because they pay me. Yet I have become a servant of everyone so that I can bring them to Christ." So you see, he says, since I'm not worried about the money, since I'm doing it for free anyway, I ain't got to worry about, you know what I'm saying, trying to please people. I ain't got to worry about what's going to happen if I step on a certain person's toes. I ain't got to worry about all that. I can just preach the truth the way God gave it to me. And that's what he's saying there. But number 12 is this: to truly be a servant of the Lord, you have to be a servant of people. And that's what he said. He said, man, I don't have to worry about people paying me. He said, I'm serving them. They're not serving me. I'm serving them. So that way I don't have to worry about it. So that's what he said. He said, this means I'm not bound to obey people just because they pay me. Yet I am become a servant of everyone so that I can bring them to Christ. So again, to truly be a servant of the Lord, you have to be a servant of people. And you got to understand that most people think because you're a servant of the Lord, you get this authority and you get this power over people. But in reality, you actually have to become a servant to people. Again, our example, who was our example? Jesus. What did Jesus do? Jesus, you know what I'm saying, he went around, he preached, he healed people, but he was serving people. You remember, he washed his apostles' feet. You know, they were like, shouldn't we be washing your feet? No, he washed their feet. He was a servant to the people. He did it because we got to understand something. Jesus was there. Jesus came to seek and save those who was lost. That was his goal. He wasn't there to heal the blind. He wasn't there to heal the deaf. He wasn't there to make the cripple walk. But he did those things because he was serving the people. The people need somebody to help to do those things for them, and he was serving the people. Those things he did out of the love in his heart and his compassion he had in his heart for people. You see what I'm saying? So if you're going to serve the Lord, you got to be able to serve people. And the only way you can be able to serve people, you got to stay humble. Because if you get to thinking you're more important or better than somebody else, then you're never going to be able to truly serve the Lord like you should, because your heart will never be in the right place. Because you got to understand, you're not better than them. You should be a servant to them. They're actually over you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all might think that I'm over y'all, but in reality, y'all are over me. I'm serving y'all. That's why I do this. That's why I put so much time and effort into doing these lessons and doing these videos, because I'm serving y'all, and I'm praying that y'all are being blessed by the work that I'm doing. But y'all are my masters. You know what I'm saying? I'm serving y'all. Y'all not serving me. And you have to realize, in the order to serve the Lord, you have to serve people. You have to become a servant. And that's what Paul's saying. I'm a servant. You know what I'm saying? I'm a servant. I'm not bound by anyone to obey anybody, because they're not paying me to do this, but I'm serving everyone. So in verse 20 he said, now when I am with the Jews, and I love this. This is another important concept, especially if you are a true minister and you get out and do some soul winning. Y'all got to pay attention to this one. He said in verse 20, he says, when I am with the Jews, I become one of them so that I can bring them to Christ. When I am with those who follow the Jewish laws, I do the same, even though I'm not subject to the law, so that I can bring them to Christ. When I am with the Gentiles who do not have a Jewish law, I fit in with them as much as I can. In this way, I gain their confidence and I bring them to Christ. But I do not discard the law of God. I obey the law of God. So that's a very important concept. Number 13 is this: meet them where they are. You know what I'm saying? Meet them where they are. This is very important to understand. Sometimes you can get a little too far ahead. You know what I'm saying? You want them to be where you're at, but you can't force them to be where you at. You got to meet them where they at. You know what I'm saying? One of my main ministry was a jail ministry. And when I went in there, I was able to be successful because I was able to relate to them dudes. And I went in there as you know what I'm saying, most of them in there were street people, hood people. So I had to bring my hood. It wasn't a fake persona. It's just that the old me had to come out a little bit. And they saw like, hey man, this dude's authentic. He knows some of the hood rules. He knows some of the hood things. You see what I'm saying? I had to get on their level. You know what I'm saying? When I'm around highly intelligent people, I have to speak intelligent and use more of my chemistry background to bring them to me. You see, and that's what Paul was saying. There's common ground with everybody, and you should be able to find that common ground. But he said, meet them where they at. And then he said, wherever they at, I'll meet them. They strict Jewish leaders, you know what I'm saying, strict to the laws. Then guess what? I'll obey the laws so I can meet them where they at. So I can talk to them. So I can get in with them. He said, if I'm with the Gentiles that don't have the Jewish law, you know what I'm saying, they kind of pay these pagans. He said, then you know, so I don't worry about the law. So I can be with them. I don't beat them over the heads with the law. So meet them where they at. But at the same time, the second part of it is be in the world, but don't let the world be in you. Because you notice what he said. He said, I meet them where they at. I fit in with them as much as I can. And this way I can gain their confidence and bring them to Christ. He said, but I do not discard the law of God. I still obey the law of Christ. So in other words, if I'm trying to win some guys that like to rob and kill, I'm not going to go out there and rob and kill just to build that bridge with them. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to get out. I'm not going to do no wrong to bring them to me. But I will try to fit in as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? I will try to let them know that, hey, man, I feel you coming from. I understand why you doing those things. I did those things at one point in my life myself. But I'm not going to go out there and commit no crimes or these horrible acts with them just to bring them over. No, because then I'll be doing wrong myself. You know what I'm saying? But I will do as much as I can to relate to them and meet them where they at. And that's a very important concept as a minister, especially when you come across new people that you haven't talked to, you're trying to minister to. Don't try to pull them up automatically straight to where you at. Work with them where they're at and help them get to where you at. And that's the concept. A lot of times we as Christians, we try to force others to see things our way. We try to force others to be like us because we feel we're so great and this is where you should be at. And we're trying to force them and we end up pushing them away. But what you got to do, you got to meet them where they at. If that's where they at, okay, I'm going to dwell down here with you. You know what I'm saying? But like Paul said, he said, I'm not going to get in the world with you. I'm going to do everything I can to relate to you, but I'm not going to go do no crime just to bring you into the Lord. I'm still going to obey the Lord. I'm still going to do what I know is right, but I'm going to do what I can to get close enough to relate to you so that I can bring you to the Lord with me. And that's basically what he's saying there. So then in verse 22, in this next one, very important. Like I said, it's a very important concept. This next one, number 14, is another good one. And this is especially for soul winner. If you're a soul winner, if you're anybody that go out and knock on doors or you deal in the bus ministry, wherever, this is a very important one right here. He said in verse 22, he says, when I'm with those who are oppressed, I share their oppression so that I might bring them to Christ. Yes, I try to find common ground with everyone so that I might bring them to Christ. So that right there, that number 14 is this: learn the art of bridge building. That is essential. That is essential tool, a vital tool for soul winning. You have to learn how to bridge build. And what he's saying there is kind of like what he was saying in the first little part. Learn a way, find some common. Because this is one thing I've learned. Everybody has something in common. I don't care who you are. We all have something in common. Even if it's just the Spirit of God in us. But we all have something in common. You know what I'm saying? I'm a black man. But I guarantee you, man, if I can sit down with the head leader of the Ku Klux Klan or the Nazi Klan, and if they're willing to talk to me, and we talk long enough, then I guarantee you there is something that we have in common that I can use to bring them to me. And in fact, I don't know if I told this a couple of stories on this. One time from the jail, when I went to the jail, I always would get I would get people to give me recommendations, or referrals, basically, of someone that I can go talk to. Like, man, if you got family or somebody that you think would benefit from talking to me. And I had this one time where I went and I talked to this couple. And it was crazy because it was like off in the woods and it was starting to get dark. And it was when I first got up here, so I wasn't used to being in the woods in the dark just yet. But it was this old raggedy trailer. And I remember when I knocked on the door and he sent me there for his aunt. You know, and this guy came to the door, and I can tell I just got this vibe he didn't want me there. But the aunt was like, well, you know, my nephew sent you, then come on in. So I sat down and started talking to them, and this guy just did not want to talk to me. Like, I can't explain it, but I just felt some animosity there, kind of thing. But I was so focused on talking to the aunt, I was sharing my testimony and things of that nature, that I wasn't even worried about it. So then eventually the guy kind of warmed up, you know what I'm saying? And she said she wasn't saved. The guy, he said he wasn't saved neither, but he wanted to try to listen. But I guess he didn't want to leave me there with her by myself kind of thing. So he ended up kind of, listening kind of thing. And by the time I got to the end of the gospel, they both was in tears and they put their hand on their Bible and they prayed and got saved. So I was so happy, you know what I'm saying? And once I snapped out of whatever spirit came off, I started looking around and I noticed the room that the guys kept on going in and out of had a big old Nazi flag on there. So this guy was like a skinhead. So that's why he didn't want me in there, because he didn't like black people in the first place. But guess what? That gospel built that bridge. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew his nephew that was in jail, it built that bridge and that man ended up getting saved. You see what I'm saying? So again, that's a very essential, for a very vital thing for soul winning. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn that art of bridge building. I remember this other time, this one didn't have nothing spiritual, but it was just, I was working with this lady, and I'm going to say her name because she watched my videos sometime, and I want to know how I used to feel about it, but we always just bumped heads. Like, we just didn't get along. It just, she rubbed me the wrong way and I rubbed her the wrong way. It was just weird. And this went on for like a few years. And then finally I ended up getting promoted to where, we had to work together in like close proximity. We literally worked like 4 feet away from each other, at these huge machines or whatever. So, one day I came in and I was listening to I used to watch a show called Sopranos. And I know it's a horrible show, but I used to watch it back in the day. And it had this cool little, the intro to it was pretty cool. So one day I was just in there and I was kind of singing this intro to this show. And the lady heard it and she looked around and was like, is that the intro from Sopranos? I'm like, yeah. It's like, you watched it? I said, yeah, I do. I said, I know I'm a Christian guy and all that, but I said, I just really like it. It's a good show. She's like, I like it too. And man, we were like best friends from there. You know what I'm saying? And me and her best friend, and still to this day, me and her good friends. And in fact, she make me a peach cobbler every year. Oh, I just gave it away, but she make me a peach cobbler every year for my birthday. So if she's watching it, she'll know I'm talking about her. But I mean, it was just so weird that just having that little bit in common, it kind of brought us together. And that's what you got to do. When you have soul winning, try to find something in common, because everybody got something in common. And you try to find that thing. It might compliment them on their kids or their house or their cars. You know what I'm saying? Some kind of band that they listen to, you know that they got on the band shirt. And if you're familiar with that band, talk about that. But learn how to bridge build, and that way you can bring people to the Lord. And that's what Paul was saying. He said, I build these bridges. With whoever I'm with, I find out something that we got in common, and I build a bridge so that way I can bring them to me, and then once I bring them to me, I can end up lead them to the Lord. So that's a very important concept. So learn the art of bridge building, because it's vital for soul winning. If you're going to truly build God's kingdom and bring more people to God, you got to learn how to build those bridges. So that was number 14. So he said, yes, I've tried to find common ground with everyone so that I might bring them to Christ. He said, I do all this to spread the good news, and in doing so, I enjoy its blessings. So number 15, I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, so I won't expand on a lot. But number 15 is this. Remember, the Lord blesses those who blesses them. And again, blessings is not always money and cars and clothes and things of that nature. Blessing is peace. You know what I'm saying? Favor on your life. You know, so I can tell you how many times some will pop up and then some will pop up that'll take care of it. Those are true blessings that know that God is working for you. He's not going to open up heaven and he's not going to put $1 billion in your bank account. That's not always a blessing. A lot of time money make things even worse. You get a lot of money, make things worse. Blessing is knowing that God's favor is on your life and that no matter where you go, no matter what you do, he got your back. That is a blessing. Those are the kind of blessings you should be looking for. You know, I've told y'all a story like my truck. When I got my truck, when I first moved up here, I had a minivan, and I moved up here, had a minivan, and like 3-4 weeks before Christmas, I ended up hitting a deer, and it totaled out my minivan. Hit a deer, totaled out my minivan, and I had just started working here, and I had been out of work for like a year, so I really didn't have any money to replace the vehicle. And the insurance, they paid for the minivan, but they didn't give me any money to give me another car. So I was just kind of stuck. And I'm up here in the woods. That's before I really got to knowing people, so I couldn't bum no rides or anything. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I just happened to have a friend that lived in Nashville that had a car lot. So I called him up, and I was like, man, look, I said, man, I'm broke right now. I said, but I got to have a vehicle. I got to be able to get to work. I can't bum rides. I said, so, man, if you can work it out somewhere. So I got a Christmas bonus coming up here in another few weeks. I said, if you can just give me the car for a couple of weeks. I said, man, you cool enough, you know me enough, you know my rep enough to know that I will pay you. So if you can just give me in the car, man, I promise you, when my bonus come in, I'll just sign the whole thing over to you. And he's like, man, don't even worry about it. He said, what you need? And I told him, he said, I got you. He said, I got the perfect vehicle for you. He said, just come. He said, get a ride down here this Saturday, and it'll be waiting on you. And I went down, and anybody know that I got this big black Suburban, and I went down there, man, and he had this big old black Suburban waiting on me. And he said, and I was like, well, you know what I'm saying? I said, when I get my bonus, you know, I'll come. He said, man, you better not bring your bonus down. He said, you better buy them kids Christmas. He said, man, don't even worry about it. And what he did was the way he worked out the paperwork, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have to make a payment. Not only did I not have to pay him my bonus, I didn't even have to make my first payment until like a month and a half. So I was in a vehicle for almost a month and a half before I made my first payment. See, that's blessings. Those are the kind of blessings God to get you through. Yes, I still had to pay for it. I didn't get the truck for free. I still had to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? I got it paid off and within a few years. But still, those are the kind of blessings. God favored. Issue came up, but God took care of that issue. He made a way for me to get that taken care of. I mean, it was in like 2 days. Like the next day after I had the wreck, I had this vehicle. Already, and I still got it. It's a good truck. I've had it for 6 years now. Almost 7 years. You see what I'm saying? Those are the blessings that comes from serving the Lord. So again, don't be looking for money and jewelry and cars and clothes and all those things. Just be looking for that peace, looking for that favor, looking for that God showing you time and time again that no matter what, he has your back. Those are the blessings you should be looking for. Those are the blessings that will come from serving the Lord. So number 15, remember the Lord blesses those who blesses him. So then the next verse he said, remember that in a race everyone runs, but only one person gets the prize. So you also must run in such a way that you will win. That is another important concept. So number 16 is this. As a matter of fact, all the last, I hope y'all can stay to the end because all the last one, they're very important concepts. And number 16 is this. Do you put forth, and this is the question, do you put forth maximum effort when doing the things of God? Do you put forth maximum effort in doing the things of God? In other words, do you just do them just to say, oh, I did it? Or do you put forth maximum effort? Again, I'll give you an example. And I know I keep bringing up soul winning because it's so vital to building God's kingdom. But like soul winning, like y'all know, we stay in New Jonesville and Waverly, and both of these towns about this big. So if you go out soul winning every day, which I have been doing for the five years, there's only so many houses. There's only so many people that can talk. Now, every once in a while, you come across a different person or somebody moved in and moved out kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, you know, you're talking to the same people over and over. So when I go out soul winning, I don't want to go out soul winning and just say, oh, okay, I win. I knocked on some doors. When I go out soul winning, I'm hunting. I'm looking for somebody to spread the Lord, spread the word. And the only way you can do that if you go somewhere where there's a lot of people. You know, so like I said, it's not a lot of people within these two towns. And if you do it for a certain amount of time, you're consistent with it, you're going to come across the same people all the time. So what I do when I soul win, I go out. I go down to Paris. One weekend I'm in Paris. I go to Dixon. I go to Nashville. Like, I go where there's a lot of people that I know I've never talked to before, because I'm trying to put in maximum effort. I'm not just going soul winning just to say I went. So I'm like, oh Lord, I went out, knocked on the door for an hour. Of course, I talk to the same people. No, I put in maximum effort. I travel. I hardly ever go soul winning close to here. Most of the time when I go soul winning, it's at least a 45-minute drive there, and then of course a 45-minute drive back. I go down to whenever I go, especially on the weekends. Sometimes we have family stuff. If I go somewhere, if I go down to Nashville, like I went a couple weeks ago, I was down to Nashville because we went to see my grandson. Went down to Nashville, and since we was down there, guess what? I went soul winning Nashville, led 2 people to the Lord. So when I go out, I'm putting in maximum effort. I'm not just doing God's work just to say I did it. I do God's work to be successful. I want to win. If there's a prize at the end for winning a certain amount of souls or putting out a certain amount of gospel, I want that prize. So I want to make sure when I'm going out there, I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing it to win, not just to do it. Not just run. And what I'm talking about, like, for instance, a perfect example, what I'm talking about, when I was in high school, I ran track. And a lot of people, when I say I ran track, they always think, oh, well, you threw the shot put and discus, which I did those, but no, I actually ran races. And see, what happened was, the reason why I ran the races was because you get, like, for the track meet, the way they do it, each event you can get a certain amount of points. Like, if you got somebody participating, so the first four people that finished the race got points. You know, of course, number one got a certain amount of points. Let's say, just for the sake of argument, number one, whoever come in first place got 10 points. Whoever come in second place got 5 points. Whoever come in third place maybe got 3 points, and whoever come in last maybe get 1 point or 2 points. You know what I'm saying? So if there's only 4 people in the race, then guess what? Everybody gets points. And at the end of the meet, everybody's points are added up, and whatever school got the most points is the one that wins the track meet from all the events. So there was times where there was only 3 people in the race, so the coach would put me in the race. You know what I'm saying? So I'm running a 200-meter dash. You know, I'm this big, football player, 300-pound dude, 200. Well, I was in high school like 235, and I'm running against all these dudes that's like 120 pounds, as fast as a deer or something. But you know what I'm saying? As long as I cross the finish line, I won the race. So, of course, I wasn't trying to compete with these dudes. So all I had to do, like, they took out running, full speed, and I'm just jogging down there. You know what I'm saying? And what I was doing, I was just completing, but I wasn't running to win the race. If I actually, I want to actually put in the effort to try to beat these guys, because I was already, one thing, I was already convinced I couldn't beat them because they were super fast. But you know what I'm saying? I wasn't running with effort. I didn't put no effort into running and completing that race. I completed the race, yeah, I did complete it because I crossed the finish line, but I didn't put no effort into actually trying to win. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I'm talking about with the soul. That's what I want to relate that to it. Do you actually put effort in trying to win? Are you just doing it half-heartedly, doing it just to say, oh, I did it? Or are you doing it because you're trying to win? You know what I'm saying? You're trying to make sure that you put your full effort into it. Do you put full effort to doing God's work, or do you just do God's work so you can eat your conscience, so you can sleep at night saying, hey, I did something for God? You see what I'm saying? Are you putting full effort in, or are you putting bare minimum effort in? And it's going to determine your rewards, and it's going to determine your ability to really do something for God. So you got to understand that. Do you put in full effort, or do you not? Another example, and then I'll move on because I'm already close to my time. I wanted to be done by now, but this is just so good. Like I said, this is a good lesson. Another example, when I was working at Taco Bell, before I moved up here, I lived in Murfreesboro, and I had to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. So one of my jobs, I worked at Taco Bell. I worked at Taco Bell in Murfreesboro because I did that when I was in college. So, you know what I'm saying? So when I was in Taco Bell, man, I was the best customer service, and I'm bragging, I'm going to say, I was the best customer service person in this side of the Western Hemisphere. I don't know what side of the hemisphere we're on, but I was pretty darn good. I was so good at customer service that my GM ended up winning like a trip to like California and some stuff, and because of my customer service. Because I don't know if y'all know, like everywhere you go, if you look at the back of your receipts, they have a thing on there saying to do a survey or whatever. And most people don't even know about it. Most of the time we just get our receipts and we toss them. A lot of people don't even take their receipts. But just about every store, especially big business, they always have on there where you can do these surveys. And depending on what you do, put on the survey, depends on how that company get recognized or whatever money's or why. So when they started putting me down, the GM, he was just joking with me. He said, I bet you can't get nobody doing these surveys. I said, man, I can get somebody to do it. I said, how much you gonna pay me if I get it? He said, I tell you what. He said, for every 3 people you get to do a survey, I give you $10. Bet. That's all he had to say, because I'm a hustler. So, man, I got on the drive-through window, and the first week I had like 3. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, all right, we'll see. The next week I had like 5. And then from then on, I finally got in my groove. And from then on, man, we got 20, 30 surveys every week. You know what I'm saying? 20, 30 surveys every week. And they was all good. You know, and that's the thing, people put in surveys. So when they do surveys, they give you a bad remark. They actually go bad against you. But if it's good remarks, they go good against you. It was all good. You know what I'm saying? And I ended up got to the point where he like, man, all right, I can't pay you no more. He's like, I'm sorry I even started. You know what I'm saying? But I was so good at it. And even once he stopped paying me, I still did, you know, try to do my best at it. And I was so good at doing it. People thought I like loved working at Taco Bell. Like, man, you must really love your job. No, I'm putting my full effort. If I got to be here, you know what I'm saying? Whether I like being in this job, even though it's just Taco Bell, this job is still supporting my family. It's still putting food on my table. So I got to do the best of my ability to do this job. Even though I really don't want to be here, I still got to do my best at it. I put in my full effort. And people are like, man, are you a manager or something? Are you going for something? I'm like, no, man, I'm just putting full effort. I'm doing the best. I know what I can do. I know my abilities, and I'm putting forward my full ability. And again, so as related to this point, do you do the same thing? Or you just do you know that you can do way more if you put in the effort doing, or you just doing bare minimum effort so you can say you did it, so you can ease your conscience and sleep at night saying that you did it? You know what I'm saying? Again, this is if you want to be a proper Christian. And that's what Paul said. He said, you need to run it like you're trying to win. You must run in such a way that you win. In other words, you need to put in full effort. Don't just put no half-hearted effort into it like I was doing in that track. I wasn't trying to win that race. I was just trying to finish to get me a couple of points, because I knew as long as I crossed the finish line, I get some points. But I should have been putting full speed. Even if I felt I had no way possible I was going to win that race, I still should have been running like I could. And that's what we do in a lot of our Christian lives. We just kind of half-hearted running down the track, when in reality, we could be doing way more. We could be doing way more than we're doing, but we're not trying to win the race. We just happen to be running. We just happen to be in the race, but we're not running the way we can win a race. And that's what Paul's saying. Run in a way, put your full effort and try to win a race. Don't just participate in a race. Run it so you can win it, and so you can get the reward at the end. But matter of fact, this reward, he said, you must also run in such a way that you will win. All athletes practice strict self-control, and they do it to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize. And see, that's why you should win, so you can get that eternal prize. See, people down here, they in the Olympics, they get their gold medals and they get their trophies, Super Bowl champion, get their Super Bowl ring. All this stuff is going to mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? That stuff is going to fade away. They're going to be frivolous. But if you run this spiritual race, you got a prize that's going to last for eternity. But number 17 is this. Are the rewards you are working towards eternal or carnal? So again, we go back to that spiritual and worldly thing. Are you working all the efforts that you're putting in, the stuff that you are putting in full efforts on? Is it because you're trying to build eternal wealth, or because you're trying to build worldly wealth? You see what I'm saying? And if it's worldly wealth, then you are wasting your time and energy, because that stuff is only going to last for so long. It's not going to be it's not going to last long. You should be working towards something that's going to last forever. Eternity is for forever. So that's what you should be working toward. Everything you should be doing, all this effort you're putting in, especially if you put in full effort with anything, it should be toward eternity, and not something that's going to be here today and gone tomorrow. And that's what he's saying. He said all athletes practice strict self-control. They do to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize. So again, what do you put your full effort into it? The stuff that you do put your full effort into, is it something that's going to last forever in eternity, or is it something that's going to last for a few days, a few decades, a few 100 years? Even if it's 100 years, that's still nothing when you compare it to it. 100 years to compare to eternity is this. That's how quick 100 years is compared to eternity. And you got to understand this. Like the way he said, our life is a puff of smoke. You know what I'm saying? So we should got to get a mindset of working. And of course, yes, we in the world. We have to do things for the world. I understand I have to work. I have to pay bills. I got to take care of my kids. I understand all those things. But my main thing and my main focus, the thing that I put full effort into, is this work that I do here. When I'm doing these videos, y'all can tell I put a lot of effort into these videos. I put a lot of thought into this. It takes up a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because it's important. Because I'm trying to get that eternal reward. And again, I'm running away so I can win. I want to win the race. You know what I'm saying? My ultimate goal is to get to heaven. And, you know, I even though I love Paul and he's one of my mentors, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? I want to get to heaven. I want to be in a higher position than Paul. That's what I want to win the race. I don't want to just participate in a race. I want to win the race. And the only person I can't compete with is Jesus, which I'm fine with that. I can't compete with Jesus. But you got to realize you can compete with Moses. You can compete with Daniel. You can compete with Paul. You can compete with these guys, but they were just regular human. They were just good servants. And that's why they words in the Bible. I want to win the race. So if I'm trying to win a race, that means I'm competing with these guys as well. And you got to live your life so you can do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say I live my life to win the race. I want to get at the end and be like, man, you're the best Christian, the best Christian to run the race. You know what I'm saying? That's my ultimate goal. Now I might fail. I might end up in, you know what I'm saying, in 2 millionth place or something. I don't know where I'm gonna place it, but I run it as if I'm going to be in number one. And that's the thing. You got to have a mindset, not that I'm going to try and just hope I play somewhere. Run it like you trying to get to number one. You might, like I said, you might end up being number 2 billion, 560. You might end up being that number, but the whole time you was running that race, you was running like you was going to be number one. That's the mindset. That's the mindset of a good Christian, and that's the mindset you want to be in. That's the only way you're going to really be successful and truly be able to serve the Lord. You know what I'm saying? That's how you're going to get that eternal blessing instead of those worldly blessings. So the last one, I got three more points. It's the last little verse here, but in this last little paragraph, it got like 3 major points. So number 20, verse 26, it says, so he's talking about, again, he's still using this analogy of running a race. And he talks about in verse 26, he says, so I run straight to the goal with purpose in every step. I am not like a boxer who misses his punches. And in my Bible, we got like a little cliff note to say, oh, I'm not shadow boxing. In other words, he's not wasting his effort. Everything he's doing is for his goal. He's not wasting effort. Everything he's doing to get him to his goal. So number 18 is this. Be sure that there's purpose in everything you do. Because time is our most precious resource. And we don't realize how much time we waste doing frivolous stuff. Man, I'm talking, we waste so much time. That's why the only social media I have is Facebook. And I waste enough time on there, get on Facebook, seeing what's going on. We waste so much time. Man, I can't tell how many people that waste all kind of time on TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat and all that, but they won't spend 10, 15 minutes reading their Bible. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's saying there. The effort that you're putting in should be towards your ultimate goal. You know what I'm saying? And if you can't, like, and that's one thing I do. That's why I decide, that's how I decide what I'm going to do. If I can't put my full heart into doing something, then that lets me know right off top that it's not worth doing. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm at work and my boss asks me to sweep the floor, then that's gonna be the best swept floor you've ever seen. I'm gonna make sure I put my full effort into it because I got to do this to keep my job going. It's worth putting that effort into it. But if I'm doing something and I'm just half-hearted doing it, you ain't like the Taco Bell. You know what I'm saying? Most people that was there didn't want to be there. You know what I'm saying? Could care less about customer service, could care less how they treated the customers. You know what I'm saying? And they just like, I'm here to get a paycheck kind of thing. And they won't put on. If you can't put no effort to it, why be there? You know what I'm saying? You're wasting time, and we don't have time. Time is our most precious resource. And that's one thing I had to learn, and that's one thing I learned, time management. And a lot of people are like, well, time management, you always late. I'm always late because I'm always doing a million things. That's why I'm always late. I'm not late because I'm just somewhere wasting time. I'm late because I have, 4 hours to do 20 things. And I want to get all 20 of those things done within those 4 hours. And, cause sometimes things go good and sometimes they don't. That's why I'm always late, because I try to be productive as possible, because I realize how important time is. You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm always doing a million things. You know what I'm saying? I'm always late for church because I'm working up until it's time to go to church. And sometimes my work just takes me over because I planned on doing way more than I really had the time to do. You see what I'm saying? Because I want to be productive, because I realize how important time is. And that's one thing I had to learn how to do, manage my time better and get to a point where I'm not doing anything that's getting me to my ultimate goal. Like I told y'all, my ultimate goal, I want to win the race. I want to get up there and God was like, man, woo, you did your thing, boy. That's my ultimate goal. So I'm not going to waste time doing anything that's not getting me to my ultimate goal. That's why I don't waste time, going to bars and hanging out with people that do drugs and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I'm out there ministering, that's one thing. But as far as my free time, I'm not going to spend my free time in those places. That's why, y'all know I love football. Guess what? I haven't watched a football game in like 2 years. And the only reason for the last couple of years, the only reason I watch football is because my boys are playing. But see, my boys didn't play football last year, so I didn't watch any football last year. Actually, I saw 2 games. It was a junior high. I have a family that I'm really close with the son was in 8th grade. It was his 8th grade year, so I went to 2 of his games. But again, it's because I had a vested interest in it. But as far as me just sitting down and watching a football game or a basketball game, I don't have time for that. That's a waste of time. That's not, I might got entertained for a few minutes, but that's not going to get me to my ultimate goal of winning this race and saying, hearing, well done, thou good and faithful servant, when I get to heaven. And that's what Paul's saying here. He said, I'm not a shadow. He said, I go straight to the goal with purpose in every step. I am not like a shadow boxer who misses his punch. And again, he's talking about shadow box. In other words, he ain't wasting time shadow boxing. He throwing real punches. You know what I'm saying? He's not wasting his time just jogging around, getting warmed up for the race. He's running like he's in the race already. And that's what we got to do. We got to put, again, it goes back to that effort. You got to put full effort into everything you do, because you got to realize you don't have time to be messing around. We don't have time to be lollygagging around, because we don't know how much time we got. We can think that we got, I just do it next week. I just do it tomorrow. Well, you don't know. You might not have it tomorrow. It's just like that one story when Jesus was talking, giving the parable about the rich man. He said there was a rich man that had, had a farm, and he had so much come in that, he couldn't fit in his barn. So he was, he was so happy, like, you know what? I'm going to tear these barns down and build even bigger ones, and I can store all my stuff, and I can eat and drink and be merry. And Jesus said, you fool, your soul is going to be required of you tonight. So he was making all these plans on doing all this stuff. Then he was going to die that night because he didn't know how much time he had. And then we got to understand, we don't know how much time we have. So why are we wasting time doing stuff, wasting time doing drugs, wasting time drinking, wasting time chasing women, and none of them is getting us to our ultimate goal? And we don't know how much time we got. Everything you do should have a purpose to it. Everything you should do should be you taking a step towards your goal. And if it's not taking a step toward the goal, leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? The people you hang with, are they going to help you reach your goal, or are they going to keep you from your goal? If they're not going to help you reach your goal, leave those people alone. You're wasting your time. And that's what we have to understand. Everything should have purpose. So if you don't have purpose, then you should be doing, because you're wasting time, and time is our most precious resource. So again, I told y'all he had a lot of good points. Got 2 more, y'all, 2 more. He said, so I run straight to the goal with purpose in every step, and I am not like a boxer who misses his punches. He said, I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. And right there, I like to read King James, because he said, I keep under my body and bring it into subjection. And my pastor always liked to he loved to mess with our guy, Brother Larry, because in the Schofield, it said, buffet my body. But he's basically saying, he make his body do what it's supposed to do. So number 19 is this. He says, work on self-control. Number 19 is this. Work on your self-control so that you may be able to fully serve the Lord. If you're going to serve God, you have to have self-control. You have to have self-control, because you got to understand, we have free will. We have free will. In other words, God can't force you to do anything. And I tell y'all this all the time. Anybody I've ever ministered to or preached to or talked to, God can't force. He's not going to force you to do anything. He gave us a gift of free will. That's the difference between us and the angels. The angels, they have to do what God say. No question asked. Us, God gives us an opportunity to give us a choice whether we want to do it or not. He's not going to force you to do anything. The only thing is, though, you got to realize that you're going to pay for the consequences of your actions. But he can't force you to do anything. So since you have free will, and he can't force you to do his word, he can't force you to do spread his gospel, tell people about him, he can't force you to do those things, then you got to have enough control to where you want to do them on your own. So if you don't have any self-control, then God will never be able to fully use you. That's why having self-control is such an important concept. Like I've told people this before. If you read the Bible, there's 3 basic concepts that everything in the Bible is hinged off. One is loving God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, putting God first and nothing before him. 2 is loving every man as if it was your own self. Love your neighbor as yourself. And number 3 is have self-control. Those are the 3. Just about everything in the Bible hinges around those 3 basic concepts: putting God first, loving your brother and everybody as yourself, and having self-control. And it's so important, because if you cannot fully serve the Lord if you can't control yourself. Because what's going to happen is, if you can't control yourself, you'll end up being in a bad situation, and you'll make the wrong decision, which we see when you see these preachers touching little boys. See, they didn't have any self-control. When you see preachers having sex with people's wives, the congregation wives, they had no self-control. When you see preachers stealing money, they had no self-control. And see, those are the kind of things that happen if you don't have self-control. You can't fully serve the Lord and truly do the work that he has for you to do. You have to have self-control. And that's what Paul was talking about, having self-control. He said, I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. And that's what you're supposed to do. You should have control of your body. Your body shouldn't be controlling you. You know what I'm saying? Some of my pastors showed me, and I talk about the diet, but I bring it up. My pastor was telling me, he made the statement one time. He said, if you want to see what kind of Christian you are, go on a diet. He said, because being a Christian and being on a diet is basically the same thing. You're trying to have self-control. You got to have a certain amount of self-control to get your body to do what it's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? So I went on a diet, and guess what? I lost 98 pounds. And then people say that's amazing, but it's taught me the importance of having self-control. Because when I go and I eat the stuff, and I fail. I have my days where I'm up and down. You know what I'm saying? I have weeks where I eat terrible. For the most part, I've been doing pretty good, and that's why I lost the 98 pounds. But I do have some bad days as well. You know, but I see the results immediately. You know what I'm saying? When I have a week where I eat stuff I'm not supposed to, guess what happened? I gain weight. But when I have a week, when I have the self-control and I eat exactly what I'm supposed to eat, I lose weight. And it's that simple. If I eat what I'm supposed to, I lose. If I don't eat what I'm supposed to, I gain. And it's the same in being a Christian. If you do what you're supposed to do, you get God's blessing and you'll do his work. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're not going to do his work and you're going to bring shame upon his face. So you got to have self-control. It's very important. The only way you'll be able to truly serve the Lord and truly do something mighty for the Lord is by having self-control. So you don't get in that situation where, you know what I'm saying, you get, God elevates you and then you embarrass him because you embezzling money or having affairs with people's wives and things of that nature. Those are people that didn't have any self-control. And that's why instead of them bringing honor and glory to God's name, they brought shame and self-control, put your body under subjection. I told you this before. You know, we are three-part beings just like God is. You know, you got the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. We got our mind, body, and spirit. And the way you should operate is your spirit should control your mind and your mind should control your body. That's being under self-control. You know what I'm saying? But the way most of us operate is our spirit, our body controls our mind and our mind quenches our spirit. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we have so much crime. That's why we have so much evil in this world. That's why we have so much bad stuff going on in this world, because we got a world full of people that have no self-control. Because we've been told, just do what you want. Don't worry about having self-control. Do what you want if it feels good to you. And we don't realize by doing so, we're messing up God's plan for our life and we're keeping God's glory from shining through us. So you got to have self-control. So then the last one, and I'm done with y'all for the night. I went over a little bit, but it was just so good I couldn't help it. Last one, though, and I'm not doing too bad, though. Last one is this. He said, I discipline my body like an athlete, training it so I can do what it should. And this is the reason why he do it. And this is why I say self-control is important. He said, because otherwise, and this is good. He said, otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. Think about that. Well, think about what you said. I'm going to read that again. He said, I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. So number 20 is this last one. Don't let your participation end in disqualification. I kind of like that. I thought that was a pretty clever line there because it rhymed. But it's true, though. Don't let your participation end in disqualification. And that's what Paul's saying. I didn't preach to others. I done told others what they should be doing. And I know I done told everybody what they should be doing. And I went out here and did the exact same thing I told them they shouldn't be doing. Or I'm not doing the things I'm telling them they should be doing. And I end up being disqualified myself. You know what I'm saying? How embarrassed would you be? How could you stand before God and God be like, man, how are you going to go and do the same thing that you were telling them not to do? Like, why are we even having this conversation? You knew not to do it. You told everybody else not to do it, but yet you went and did it yourself. So you got to understand it. So that's why it's important. That's why it's important to have that self-control. You see what I'm saying? And that's why it's so important and why it plays such a big part, because it keeps you from being disqualified. It keeps you from getting disqualified. Like I said, my goal is to win the race. And I hate to get up there and find out I was disqualified because I had a potty mouth or because of my wandering eyes or because of my flirtatious nature. You know what I'm saying? That'll break my heart. Like, I did all that work and I can't get in because I was disqualified because I was doing some of the very things that I was telling other people not to do. So that's why it's important to have the self-control. That's why it's important to make sure that everything you're doing with purpose, because it all plays a part in the end. In the end game, it all comes together and it plays a part in the end. And your end is going to be based upon how you did those things, how you manage your life, how you manage your time, and but more importantly, how much effort you put into doing God's work. And make sure you do it with self-control so you can win the race and not be disqualified by the race from the race because you start doing the very thing that you tell other people not to do, being a hypocrite basically. You out there telling them not to do this, and you went and did it, and now you disqualified. And God's going to disqualify because you know better because you've been telling everybody else not to do it. So number 20 is this: don't let your participation in disqualification. So that's it, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the lesson. Like I said, that was a really good lesson, man. And like I said, it was more a general lesson overall, but it had so many good points in it, and that's why I was so excited to do this lesson tonight. And I went over about 20 minutes, so I apologize for that, but I hope y'all will be able to stay through because I feel this whole thing has been good. I've really felt the spirit on this one. So I hope it helped y'all, and I hope y'all can take these concepts that we talked about here tonight and apply them to yourself, because again, it's called How to Be a Proper Christian. So if you can take these concepts and apply them to your life, you look at your life, see you're not putting full effort into doing God's work, you can see that you don't have the works to show that you really have the faith that you're saying you have. You know what I'm saying? All these concepts that we went over tonight, apply them to yourself. Look at yourself. And again, this is not something for you to tell me, Brother John, what you were talking about. No, this is between you and God. You and yourself. Look at yourself. Examine yourself. And if you see something that you need to work on, you see something you're not doing, you see something that you can do better, man, just go apply it to your life and start doing those things so you can have these blessings of your life on God, God's blessing on your life, and you can do the work that God has for you to do so you can be a proper Christian. So I thank y'all for joining me tonight. Again, I went a little bit over, which I apologize for, but I think it was good, and I thank y'all for hanging in there with me. And of course, my normal ending announcements. If there's anything in particular you want to talk about, Monday I got a lesson coming up. God willing, Monday night I will be here at 7 o'clock Monday night, bringing a lesson. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna bring yet. So if you got anything that you want to talk about in particular or in the story I haven't covered yet, please inbox me and I'll work that into my lesson plan. Keep sharing the videos, telling others about the videos. My buddy Heath, man, he came in, he was sharing it with his army platoon people. That's been a blessing, and y'all help this ministry grow. Like I said, I love to have a huge ministry, but even if I just got two, 3 people like I normally have, I'm still gonna do my thing because it's for God's glory, not my own. But I would love for God to use this ministry in a mighty way. So keep sharing the videos and telling people about it, tag them about it, so we can get this ministry continue to grow. Of course, if you're not sure about your salvation, please reach out to me, inbox me, email me, send me a picture with a letter, something, so we can get in touch and I can talk to you about that, or guide you to somebody that can talk to you about that, because it's the most important decision you ever make. And if you need any kind of spiritual counseling, if it's something that you're going through right now that you're not sure about, you don't understand something about the Bible, anything spiritual, I do my best to help you. Please reach out to me, inbox me, and I will get back to you as soon as I can and schedule some time for we can talk about it. And of course, as always, this is my YouTube page. If you want to go on my YouTube page, catch on my old sermons, go to youtube.com, type it in just like this, put a space between each one, and you can get to my old sermons, and you can get on there and watch my old sermons and be tortured a little bit more by me running my mouth. So I thank you all for joining me tonight. TJ, that's great, man. You got an interview. I'm glad you're doing good, bro. Hopefully everything worked out, and you'll get to where you need to be. You know, I'm always praying for you and your family, and I will continue to do so. And I pray everything work out for you. So I'll be praying for you to have a good day tomorrow. And if you do come to church, I'd be love to see you, man. You see a big smile on my face. So again, I love you all. Thank y'all for joining me. I'm going to pray, and I'm going to get out of here. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this wonderful lesson that you brought here tonight, Lord. Got into it a little bit more than I wanted to, but I had to. My spirit just prompted me to do it, because there was so many good concepts here for the Christian life and our Christian walk that help us improve that Christian walk, Lord. So I thank you so much for letting your spirit work on me, work through me. And I thank you so much for the ones that was here, that was faithful to stay here the whole time, even though I went a little bit over my time, Lord. That's such a blessing and encouragement. And I thank you for all the ones that's been helping me do this, grow this ministry, been telling people about the ministry, sharing the videos and things of that nature. It's been such a blessing, Lord. And I just thank you so much for putting this word in my heart and just using me. Thank you for Paul and his faithfulness to your work, Lord, and just let Paul know it's nothing personal, but I'm trying to win the race, and I'm trying to outdo him, Lord. You know, whether I'm even close, I'll probably not even be in the same level as Paul, but I'm definitely trying to get there because I want to win the race just like he was talking about here tonight. And I'm running my race so I can win, not just kind of lollygagging through it. I truly want to win. I really truly want to honor your name with my life and the work that I do. So I just thank you for everything. Thank you for this lesson tonight. Thank you for blessing us. Thank you for letting everybody be here tonight. And I ask you to watch over us as we finish up this night. Keep us safe, Lord. There's reports that there's supposed to be all kind of storms in the area, Lord. So please just keep your hand upon everybody. Keep everybody safe. Let everybody have a good, safe, restful night and be able to get up tomorrow ready to honor and glorify your holy name once again. Be with all your servants, all those that truly serve your word, Lord. Give me power, love, and wisdom over any part that may arise and may keep them from doing your work. And just continue to give them the courage and enthusiasm they need to go forth doing your work and guide them where they need to be so they can share your gospel with those that need to hear it. Continue to be with this ministry. Continue to help it grow, prosper, reach out in community, change the lives of others, capture the lost souls of men, and just use it, Lord, in such a way that it can bring this world back to you, Lord. It's such a blessing. Be River Lake Baptist Church the same. Continue to help it grow and prosper. Be with Pastor Johnson. Give him the encouragement he needs to continue to guide the people in the right way, and be with all the faithful saints that work out of the churches, Lord, that support him and his mission, Lord, of building your kingdom. Just be with us all and continue to encourage it all so we can continue to do your work. I pray you be with all those in the military. Keep them safe. Get them wisdom to make the right decision when they're out in the field, Lord. Just be a wall of protection around them and help them to see that no matter how far away from home they are, they're never too far away from you. And to give them the wisdom to make the right decisions so they can make it home safely and be able to unite with their families once again and honor and glorify you because of their ability to do so. Watch over this country, Lord. We're just really in a dire need for your word. We're really in dire need for revival. And I'm praying that you would just help us see how far we've gotten off the foundation and just give us the wisdom to get back to that foundation before it's too late. Be with all our political leaders, from the president down to the lowest council member, anybody that has authority over us. Turn their hearts back to you so they may make the right decision so we can maybe be able to continue to worship you freely and continue to honor and glorify your name freely, Lord, and help them see the importance of it before it's too late. And I pray for the day when the world as a whole, we will humble ourselves, pray, seek your face, and turn from our wicked ways so you may hear from heaven, forgive our sins, and heal our land. And I pray you continue to send out more workers for the harvest because the harvest is plenteous, but the workers are few. Continue to be with us. Continue to keep your hand upon my family. Continue to use us in a mighty way and be with all my friends and family as they rest up. Keep them safe. Be with your nation of Israel. Keep them safe and protected, but turn their hearts back to you as well. And just continue sharing your love and grace down upon us all. Be with all those that's been misused and abused. Comfort them in their affliction, but make a way for them to get out and get them the wisdom to accept their way when it presents itself, and take that evil out of the heart of the men and women that do their terrible crime, Lord. And we just ask you to watch over us all, purify our hearts once again, Lord, and open our eyes to see how important it is to have you in our lives and what a blessing it is to honor and glorify you. We love you so very much. We thank you for all you've done. Thank you for this wonderful lesson tonight once again. And I pray you continue to bless us and guide us and continue to use us in a mighty way. We love you and thank you for everything, and say this prayer in your wonderful Son, Jesus' name. Amen. So thank you guys for joining me. Like I said, TJ, I'm praying for you. Sister Rhonda, thank you. Emily, I think you cut out on me already when I started the announcement, but I thank you for being here for the whole lesson. It's such a blessing, and I pray that you all will continue to be safe. I pray that these storms don't hit anybody and everybody be safe, and we all get another day tomorrow to honor and glorify the Lord. So I love you all. Hopefully y'all will join me Monday night at 7. God willing, I'll be here Monday night at 7 with some good that the word Lord give me. But until then, I love you all. Y'all remember to always watch your back and pray and be safe. Peace.